Yo, so we are live. I have Sanvi here. We were going to talk about some Destiny stuff. We were going to talk about our debates with Destiny, but I also, sent a little thing out to OliverKneeHouse because he was itching for an abortion debate for me for months back when I had my OG account. And I was like, okay, fine, fuck it. If you want to do it, then we could go ahead and do that. So he's going to be jumping on as well in a few moments. But Sanvi, so who are you to people who don't know who you are? What do you
Oh,
represent?
yeah. I would say I'm pro-life. I'm a capitalist, right? I believe that we should protect everybody's rights, and I see the fetus as a person. So that's basically my pro-life stance. But yeah, I believe in essentially like a capitalist society without any force, including the force upon an unborn child.
I think that sounds pretty consistent to me.
Mhm.
So dope, dope, dope. So yeah. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm doing like a bunch of things. I just sent this thing here to Oliver, but yeah. So Oliver has I did a debunk video on some of Oliver's stances, and I'm gonna play that first because before we even get into any type of debate or whatever, I feel like you kind of have to answer to the shit that I've already debunked. You know what I mean? You kind of have to like,
Mhm.
okay, so do you have responses for these, or are you just gonna concede on these points? Um, so we'll go ahead and we'll discuss that first. Um, yeah, so we're just kind of waiting for Oliver. People in the chat. Hey, hello chat. Hello chat. I know I already sent the thing to Oliver, Trevor. I already sent it to him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens when he joins. A lot of people were saying he wasn't going to join, especially Cam. Cam was like, he ain't going to join because he hasn't debated me yet.
That's funny.
Apparently, he's been trying to debate him for like a minute. Um,
Is he
yeah.
like in the waiting room or something right now?
No, I
Like
would see him.
backstage?
No, I
Okay.
would see him. Oh, dude, people are telling me about this Crowder debate with the H3 guy. Did you see that? I didn't see that.
No, I didn't see it, but I actually heard about it.
People were saying that I don't know if like Crowder got trashed or people are trashing Crowder because of something he said or
Yeah, I
something. I
think
don't
he
know.
I think he like brought someone like mid debate or like took their argument.
Who Crowder did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's Crowder is a fair debater on. I mean, some things I don't agree with everything he does,
Okay,
but
somebody said is the panel open for debates after Oliver?
I don't know how long this is gonna run.
Yeah, I was about to
So
say.
yeah, so we'll probably take questions and stuff like that after. So probably not. But if you do want to join like another one, just shoot a DM over to my Instagram, man. My Instagram is at Tyler Bluntman, and it's open. So just shoot me a DM and say that you want to come on, and we'll discuss something. I'm sorry.
The com-
Yeah, you'll get people. Anytime I
No,
bring
I
a
know.
woman on, man, they always gotta make it weird. They always
No,
gotta
it's
make it fucking
fine.
weird.
That always happens. Like even when I was debating like Kai and Dalton, all these stupid ass paleocons.
Oh, on the porn thing, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I've had since I saw that, I talked to so many other conservatives about really just paleocons that really disagree with it. Because most conservatives agree, they're just like, no, we just don't like it, we don't want it, we don't want to promote the shit, but it shouldn't be illegal to
Illegal.
watch it,
Exactly.
right? But you got those hardcore like paleocons who are just like, oh no, it should be illegal, and the reasoning clearly like folds in on itself as it did when you guys debated them, and you can easily
Yeah.
apply this logic to other things, like you could talk about gun control or whatever you want to talk about, right? Like
Yeah. I
if
mean
because
they're for gun control too. That's kind of
paleocons,
yeah.
they're for gun control.
Yeah, I mean Kai even believes in like a UBI, right? He believes like we should literally redistribute.
How is he a conservative? Is he a conservative or he doesn't call himself a
Yeah,
conservative?
he's on the right. Yeah, paleocons like believe in a lot of like collectivist left wing economically, but like they're conservative socially.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
like they don't
odd,
believe
right?
in, but like it's weird because they don't believe in like any immigration. They believe in like net zero immigration. and no
Okay.
foreign
I
trade.
don't know.
So
I
like,
don't know. I don't know about like the individual labels like paleocon and neocon and fucking
yeah.
this and this and this and this and like I don't get so far into that. I just want to know what people's like stances are, and we'll go ahead
Mhm.
and debate that. So yeah, I didn't know that generally speaking, paleocons believed in that. I mean, do you find that weird?
I do find that weird because they don't care about like economic policies. Like they said it. They say they care more about like social issues. That's why I always say paleocons are just trad leftists because they hold like liberal sort of like sock dem economic stances.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I did invite him, so I'm just waiting for it. He has seen it though. He has read the message, so I'm just
Hmm.
waiting for him to accept it. But I mean, while we're waiting, so the debate with Destiny, how do you think yours went?
I think I did fairly well, but I think when you're debating somebody like that, you're not going to reach any type of like sort of common ground, right? Because what he basically says is, you can't justify your position, I can't justify mine, and then I'm like, okay, so why are we having this debate, right? I mean, at some point, one position's got to be more consistent than the other.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's when I would say like I think I actually was a little more consistent than him because I don't think he could really warrant why we should start at consciousness, not the very beginning of development. Like I know you mentioned that.
He couldn't.
Um,
He couldn't, and he was just begging the question. And then what the thing is that I really hate using this word. I'm gonna say manipulate. I don't like to. I hate to say the word like gaslight. It's such a
right.
triggery word, but like I'll just say manipulate. He was trying to like manipulate me into believing that my stance, starting at conception versus him starting at the beginning of consciousness, he was trying to manipulate me into saying or persuade me into saying that mine was also begging the question. I'm like, no, bro, you don't understand what begging the question fallacy is. I'm sorry. Like I
Right.
know I know I know you're a big like streamer. I'm sure you probably get this right 9.9 times out of 10 when it comes to fallacies. You just aren't getting it right here. So
Well,
like
yeah, he thinks the whole abortion debate is like a two-way begging the question thing where neither of us can justify it. And I'm like, okay, so why do you have a position on it then? If that's truly what you believe, why do you have a position on it?
you know what's also interesting is that when I asked him what his position was, I thought he was going to go with something like bodily autonomy because that seems to be
Yeah,
like the
that's
more
that's what I
popular thing.
thought too.
And I would argue that it's probably a more solid stance than consciousness. So I thought he was going to go with that. And then so he kind of hit me. I was like, "Oh shit! I guess we're having a consciousness debate." Okay. And
Right.
he said, "Yeah, I think everything else is just a red herring." I was like, "That's interesting." It's like, I mean,
Yeah.
bodily autonomy for somebody who doesn't really debate this too much. I've seen so many pro-lifers like get boggled down by this bodily autonomy and they don't know how to refute it. So like to
Right.
most pro-lifers, I mean, to the uninitiated, right? They usually it's a stronger argument against them. So like it was just interesting that he didn't take that route.
Oh yeah, no. And he mentioned it actually briefly in our debate. He was like, "Oh, I don't think the state should have control over women's bodies," but he never like expanded on it, right? He just went into consciousness and said it wasn't a person. But it was actually weird because he said from the moment that like beings attain consciousness, they have preferences. And I was like thinking to myself, like, what the hell does like a 24-year-old fetus that you think has consciousness, like what preferences like would it have that you're valuing? Like it's so weird.
Yeah, yeah. But to be fair, I do want to shout like Destiny was a cool guy. At least in my debate, I don't know if he was respectful
Oh
in yours.
no,
I didn't
he's
watch all
he's
of
a
them.
very cool guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was very cool. I don't know about any other stances. I haven't watched a bunch of his debates. I know of him obviously.
His
I've seen a,
comment section's horrible
of
though.
course, you're always gonna have that. You're always gonna have that, especially because people like to troll and be like that online. But like, he
Yeah.
was very respectful. He was a very cool guy in our debate. There were no like insults against
Oh
each
no, not
other.
at all.
Like it was a very dope debate. I definitely respect him on that level, and I hope to have another conversation with him. All right, so Oliver is here, so we are gonna bring Oliver on, and we are gonna have a discussion. Um,
Hey man, how are you?
hey buddy, how are you, man? You
Good. How
doing
are you
good?
guys doing? How are you, Sanvi? I'm
I
doing
can't
well.
see him.
Good. I'm
You
trying to
can't see
figure
me?
out like how I should have this layout. I don't know if I
That
like
Oh,
works
this
too.
one better.
that's good.
Yeah, I can kind
Whatever
of see like
works.
the whole thing. So hey man, so for
Hey,
people who may not know like who you are or like kind of like your side you like of like this discussion, do you kind of want to tell people?
totally. Yeah. I just say in general, I'm pro-choice. I, ascribe to pro-choice positions. I guess that's kind of the whole point of this conversation. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any more deep than that. We can kind of get into the specifics here.
Sure. So before we even get into any of those specifics, I did make a video kind of deconstructing a bunch of your stances. You didn't ever address any of these stances, so I kind of want to go through that now.
Absolutely.
Right before we do it. So I'm going to play the video
Absolutely.
for people to see it, and then we can kind of address it.
100%. Go for it.
All right. So hold on. Let's share this. And application, Chrome tab. Let's go here. Bet.
Stop asking for my Snapchat. Oh.
All right, here we go.
Republicans in the Pennsylvania state legislature have voted to force people.
Hold up. I got the audio coming through the wrong thing. Give me a second. I'm a little bit of a boomer. Hold on. Give me a second, damn it.
Tyler, I just have a question. Do you want to go like point by point and I address them? Like I just never got around to making a video. I was planning on it and then I just kind of forgot. So if you want to, do you want to go point by point or do you want to play the entire video?
That's absolutely fine. I'll just pause it after the end of each one.
Absolutely. Go for it.
As soon as I unboomer this shit. Hold on. All right, here we go. And this is Eric. That should be good now.
People who have miscarriages.
Can you guys hear that?
Yep, we got it.
All right, bet.
To fill out a fetal death certificate as well as pay a fine. All I know is that every man who jumps off into a sock should be required to pay a fine and fill out a death certificate.
So this is a false equivalency fallacy. The fluid that is expelled from us men that may end up in a Kleenex is only an extension of ourself and is only our DNA. Whereas an embryo or fetus that dies due to miscarriage is genetically distinguishable from both mother and father and is its own separate life form.
You acknowledge that.
All right, can I address that?
Absolutely.
Totally. So the issue I have with that, Tyler, a little bit, I realize they're different, and they absolutely are different, but I don't see the morally relevant distinction between them. Obviously, an embryo at conception does exist. It is different. I'm not sure if you're aware, there is slight differences in DNA from an entire, I guess, human male than rather the specific sperm. Obviously, we're talking about haploid versus diploid, it splits like that. Frankly, I acknowledge they're different. I don't know how they're morally different. So you would have to justify how an embryo at conception is more valuable than a sperm cell. I don't believe it is, but you would have to somehow justify your criterion as to why it would be more valuable. You're correct. I just don't really see why it would be more valuable.
No, value has nothing to do with my argument.
Okay, well, Tyler, you're probably going to take a different stance than me on this, but my thing would be natural capacity, right? Like the capacity of a sperm and the capacity of an egg, the only capacity, their function as a substance is to probably just pass through your body, right? The function of yikes, okay, the function of what we would consider a zygote, for example, its full capacity would be what you would consider a human, like you and me, right? Because we were once a zygote, so therefore it had the capacity and developed into us. So I think that would be the most relevant distinction here. But
yeah, so I think the issue I have with that argument is, and you can talk about natural capacity, you can talk about potential. I feel like we're largely basing our argument off of what possibly might happen in the future, what may happen. For example, I think we should base things on what rights they should have based on the current capacity that they have right now. For example, I am currently 18 years old. I have the capacity to reach the age of 21 where I would be granted the right to drink alcohol. Do you believe that I should be granted the right to drink alcohol right now just because in the future I have the potential to reach that age?
Yeah, I don't think that anyone should hinder your ability to do so by initiating force upon you. Yes, I don't think anyone should give you some sort of
So do you think infants
thing that would stop you from doing that? Yeah.
So do you think infants should be allowed to drink alcohol because they have the natural capacity or potential to reach the age at which they would be able to drink alcohol?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Wait, I do. I'm asking you a question.
Okay, hold on. There are certain ages where we grant something rationality, right? Yeah, just because you don't have it at the moment doesn't mean we're not valuing it in the future that you will have it, right? So hold on, Oliver. When somebody's sleeping, right, they are gonna wake up. That's why we're valuing that.
That's not my criterion that I set out.
Oliver, if I were to kill you, right, or if I were to put you in a coma, I would be preventing your ability to drink alcohol in 3 years when you turn 21. So that's what I'm saying, is that you'd be preventing some sort of future potential or whatever.
So when we're talking about natural capacity, the capacity to do what? That's my question. So if you're making the argument that a fetus at conception has the natural capacity to gain rationality, can you let me finish?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're talking about that the fetus has the natural capacity to gain some sort of functionality in the future, then I don't see why, as an infant, I have the capacity to at some point have a developed brain where I would be able to drink alcohol. Under this logic, why I should not be granted that right now just because I have the capacity to reach that in the future. That is why I don't think this argument necessarily holds
Okay,
up.
again. So basically, the reason why this is like a false equivalency, right? Like there's certain ages where people attain a certain rationality, and why we have the laws based off where you can't drink alcohol till you're 21. Right.
Yes.
Now, if I were to like put you in a coma, for example, while you're 18, and you were to have some sort of rational impairing thing where you would have a brain like a child, I would say that would be an immoral thing to do, right? Because then you wouldn't attain that rationality. Not to go into like the ethics of it, this would go into like why I think human substance in and of itself would be valuable. That just has to go into like attaining your goals, right? Like I don't think you should stop somebody from achieving their goal and their capacity. That's what the whole argument is.
Okay. So the question comes down to what gives an entity value? You keep talking about rationality. You keep talking about this. So if that's the case, because in the future they have the capacity to attain that, then my question is the reason that we have the drinking age at 21 is because we acknowledge that there is a certain amount of brain development that makes it so that it would be less damaging on the brain for someone of that age to drink alcohol. So when we're talking about that sort of thing, why wouldn't we give those rights to a 1-year-old by your logic because it has the capacity to reach that in the future? You're saying that we should give an embryo the same value as we would an infant because it has the capacity in the future to reach that stage.
So hold on, let me go ahead and interject here because you guys have kind of been talking. So
Sure.
when you're, I find your whole thing just to be kind of a false equivalency here, because what you're really talking about, and let's just say that I agree that that you shouldn't be able to drink until 21. I'll just put myself into your scenario, right? So
Sure.
Okay, so people shouldn't be able to drink until the age of 21, right? That when you're saying, oh, well, I have the potential to reach 21, so should I drink? You're talking about, well, no, and the reason why, I would say generally people who believe this, the reason why you would say, oh, okay, well, you have to wait until you're 21 because you don't have, you haven't reached that level of responsibility that we say or we should give you to where you can go ahead and do this action. The same thing for driving, the same thing for doing X amount of different things, right? But when you're talking about the right to life, you don't, there's no responsibility. Hold on, let me finish. There's no responsibility required, right? There's nothing there, right? You should just be granted the right to life.
Well, that's where you and I disagree. We're talking about what necessitates or what grants someone the value of life. And obviously you and I would have different standards on what we would say has the value of life. My question would be, what would grant a human at conception the right to life? Why do you think human life is valuable inherently?
Well, hold on. I never said that human life is inherently valuable, so stop strawmanning me. I actually told you that already. That's
so
not
then
my
what
argument.
makes it valuable?
Second thing, again, I'm not, my argument isn't value. I don't know if Sanvi's argument is value. You might want to talk to her about that. But anyway, so real quick on what I just said, right? Talking about your age, your 21 thing, and the potentiality to reach that. Do you understand why we can't compare those two things now?
No, not at all. I absolutely do believe.
So you don't understand. Okay, so hold on. So you don't understand that the reason why we would say that you can't drink until you're 21, you can't drive until you're 16 because you haven't had this necessary experience to give you the responsibility of having the ability to do, or the responsibility to do this, like, privilege, right?
No, because when we look at basically when you're drinking alcohol, the reason is because you've attained a certain level. You've gotten to a stage. The reason, fine, let's talk specifically about alcohol. The reason that you can drink alcohol is specifically because your brain is developed to a stage at which you drinking does not severely hinder the developmental stage of you drinking alcohol. Does that make sense or not?
Wait, Oliver, you're literally just conflating like current functionality and like potentiality, right? Just because some things we would set the standard as current functionality doesn't mean all things would. Like, I think in order to give consent, for example, you have to have current functionality. I'm sure you can agree on this, right? You shouldn't have some sort of, what?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think everyone can agree, right? Like, in order to
Oliver,
give consent.
so you're saying that just potentiality in like every aspect is just dumb? Is that what you're saying? I'm not trying to strawman you.
Yeah, and yes, correct. I don't believe we should give something value right now just because.
So hold on. So just because it has the potential for something to happen
doesn't mean we should give them those rights right now. We have to define what gives. Fine, Tyler. If I don't understand your position, I can't exactly, like, I guess,
Should I have the
yours.
right? Okay, so hold on. Should I have the right as a parent to put a tiger in my infant's room just because? I mean, it doesn't matter about potential, right? Because it only has the potential to kill them, right? So should I be legally permitted to do that?
I don't see how this is relevant to the
You're talking
distinction that we're
about
making.
potentiality. You're talking about potentiality. So I'm
Correct.
asking.
Wait. Yes, but you are initiating an action that will literally result in that. I don't.
Well,
I don't see your point here.
Hold on.
Yes, you
we
are.
don't know that that's going to happen. They just have the potential for that to happen.
So wait, but I'm asking you whether or not we should use potential at all times regarding this stage of the development of the embryo.
No,
I don't.
No, hold on, Oliver. I just asked you this question. I just asked you if you think that potentiality in all these aspects, just because something may happen, if we should do it or not, or if you think it's dumb, and you said yes. So I just gave you a scenario. Look, it doesn't mean that this tiger is going to kill this infant, right? It just means that they have the potential to. So should they have the right to do this? And you said no.
Well, yes, of course not, because I was not speaking on the potential
so
of
you're
actions
so you're either
themselves.
special pleading, or you
No,
understand,
I'm
you
not
understand
talking
that
about
what
actions
you're saying is just dumb.
No, I'm not at all. So, Tyler, you didn't answer. What is the reason that we don't allow an infant to drink alcohol?
It doesn't matter. That doesn't even matter to my argument.
Yes, it is. Then I need you to define then what makes why at conception we should give that embryo any sort of moral consideration.
Well, hold on. That doesn't even matter to you.
I'm asking you. Can you answer that question?
Hold on. This is what I'm saying. That doesn't even matter to you because your entire argument is bodily autonomy.
No, not necessarily. I have some arguments that are bodily autonomy, but that's
wait.
You can.
Oliver.
Doesn't he concede that they're a person?
Yeah, wait, Oliver.
No.
I read your essay. You said verbatim. I concede to the premise, and I'm verbatim that the fetus is a person. Do we need to pull it up right now?
If you'd like to pull up, that was specifically a debate case that I was building against.
You could share
one
the screen.
specific. Absolutely, you could build that up. Wait,
Yeah.
do you not understand?
Yeah.
That was a debate case I was building against someone who I would be debating in the future. That was the point. So I don't necessarily concede.
So you don't actually believe that the fetus is a person. You just conceded it for the sake of a debate. Isn't that literally the definition of bad faith with the intent to deceive?
No, not at all. Not at all. If I'm having a debate with someone and I want to concede
Oliver, so
a
your
point
standard
just
for
to
moral
have a more
consideration is variable.
I thought I've seen videos on you saying that it's a person anyway.
If for the sake of argument, yes. To have to put aside the personhood question to get at a more fundamental question.
So hold on. So then it doesn't actually. So none of this actually matters because then, based on what you're saying that personhood doesn't actually matter. So you'll grant us that it's a person. All right, then we can just move past all of this shit anyway because we'll
let's
go
to
ahead and
bodily
get on.
autonomy.
And if your bodily autonomy is debunked, then you would be pro-life?
No, I would not. It's not gonna. Tyler, I don't get this.
Wait. Hold on.
You
I think what we
said
need to do, Oliver, this is what we need to do.
I never said.
Oliver, lay out a standard for when you grant something moral consideration right now, whether it be bodily autonomy.
Can you guys answer any of my questions instead of asking me questions?
Oliver, if we don't have your standard, no, we can't. So go ahead.
Tyler, do you want to make this a one-on-one with me and you? Because I feel like 2-1 is just not going to work here if both of you are talking over me at the same time.
Wait, Oliver, just lay out your
over
abortion position. When do you grant something moral consideration?
Hold on, Sanvi. I don't want to bully him. Right? I don't want to bully him. I don't
I'm
want
not
him to
bullying him.
No. I know you're not bullying him.
Let's talk about bodily autonomy then, if you want.
But it's more so on how Oliver feels. So if Oliver feels like he's being
I'm not.
on, then I will totally mute.
How many times have you guys interrupted me while I'm trying to explain something? At least like 4 or 5 times. So let's actually have a decent faith discussion. I asked you multiple questions, Tyler, that you refused to answer, and you just flipped them back and asked me a question.
No, Oliver. I did answer your question. 2, when you got to irrelevancy questions, it didn't matter because it's irrelevant because your stance is hold on.
No.
Because hold on. You're talking about interrupting.
Autonomy.
You're talking about interrupting. Is that your whole stance is bodily autonomy? You said multiple times that it doesn't matter if they are a person or not. That bodily autonomy is the argument.
For sake of argument.
So we can move past this and just move on to bodily autonomy. Yes.
Why? I don't believe it's a person, Tyler.
That's your core argument.
Wait, Tyler, I have multiple arguments. So I'm asking you.
No, Oliver.
Why can't you answer my question?
Oliver, listen, buddy, listen. You can't say that it doesn't matter if it's a person or not because my argument is bodily autonomy.
And when did I say that?
bruh, hold on.
In your essay,
and then when you said that multiple
word for
times.
word.
I could pull up a video on your TikTok, I'm sure, right now to where you say it. Right?
I could pull up literally your essay.
Yeah, you could pull up his essay. You want to share his screen? Share your screen?
You do realize that was a debate case that I was building against someone
Oliver.
for that. You do realize in a debate, you can concede points for sake of argument. That doesn't necessarily mean you believe them. It's for sake of discussion.
Okay, perfect.
Correct?
So Oliver, I think we should have done this at the beginning, right? But we said we grant something at the moment of conception. When do you grant something moral
Tyler,
consideration? Because we need to do this.
Tyler, this like so many times, and he never answered my question. Tyler, what makes why?
Hold on,
why?
Oliver. Wait.
Moral value. How?
Oliver. I think we're gonna get there, but we still haven't even done this video. It's like we can't finish this video. You said we were gonna go point by point.
Fine. Okay. I forgot we were even working on that video because we got all sidetracked. So let's go on that.
Are you cool? Are you cool to keep going on that? And
Totally.
then we can talk
Let's do
about
that.
conception and all of that shit.
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, I thought this was between me and you, Tyler. So if you want to,
I actually said in my video it could be either or, and I asked you if you wanted to bring somebody else on, and I asked you if you wanted me to mute her. If you want me to, are you saying you want me to mute Sanvi?
I think you and I one-on-one debate would be
Yeah, I
great.
can just like mod if you want.
Yeah, that's fine,
Mod.
Sanvi. That's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and let's finish this here.
Fetus is a human being, and you still support the murder of it?
It's not murder. Definitionally, murder is defined as
What?
the unlawful killing of a person.
Wait,
Problem.
I'm boomering out again. My bad.
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to be able to see this.
It's my bad. Did you hear it though?
I can hear it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. As long as you heard it. So hold on. It's my Tyler Boomerman, man. My bad.
1, abortion is legal, so it's not unlawful.
Now this is an appeal to definition fallacy. If you're going to use a law term, you need to use it as it is practiced in law, not just some general textbook definition. This is because different states have different definitions of murder and have varying degrees of murder from first to third degree. So you can't just use Merriam-Webster. Now, without going state by state, generally murder is recognized as the unjust killing of another person, which then raises 3 questions, which is, should we recognize the unborn as persons? If we do, when should we recognize them as persons? And finally, if and when we do, is the killing unjust?
And second, it's begging.
Okay, so do you get that?
Sure. Yeah. On like the definition. I mean, I don't really care about that point. I mean, if you
Okay,
want
so
to
you just concede on that point?
I mean, I don't believe that we can correctly define it as murder for more than just the fact that it's unlawful. We could talk about whether it be the fact that the fetus would be a person. You have to talk about whether or not it would be a person. That gets into this whole discussion. So if a fetus is not a person, then it couldn't be defined as murder. But yeah.
Well, no, your whole thing on there, and I actually just cut it off right before you said so. You also were saying that this is a begging the question fallacy, and I'm telling you that, well, for one, this isn't a begging the question fallacy, first of all. Second of all, you can't say it's not murder because the Merriam-Webster dictionary doesn't define it as murder. That's an appeal to definition fallacy. You would have to use the term.
What do you mean appeal to definition? You do realize definitions is how we define things and how
definitions
we define...
yes, definitions do matter. But if you use this word, this law term, and you go to Merriam-Webster and go to this obscure dictionary that has nothing to do with like the law, you say, okay, so I'm just going to use this general term of murder as Merriam-Webster defines it, and I'm not going to use it how it's actually practiced in law, right? Every state has different definitions of what murder is, from first to sometimes third degree. This is why you can't just say, oh, it's not murder because Merriam-Webster doesn't say it is, right? This state would say it is, again, assuming that it's a person. Right?
Yeah, assuming that it's a person. That's the whole
This state
point.
would say it is, this state would say it. Right, but here's the thing.
Federally, it's not.
But hold on. In your discussions, in your videos, you grant that it's a person for the sake of argument. That's why I'm telling you that you grant them. Yes. So
Wait,
okay. So
I don't want to do that
in
in this debate. Let's actually have a discussion surrounding personhood. Then
Oliver,
stop dictating my position for me, Tyler. You are saying your only argument is bodily autonomy. Your only argument. I'm telling you it's not, and you for some reason are hellbent on the fact that it is.
Oliver, hold on. What we're talking about right now is the video that you made that you haven't responded to, right?
That's what we're trying to work on.
Right. So you can't say, well, I'm going to modify my argument for you and say it's not a person now, when originally I granted that it was a person.
For her video?
Yes.
Literally not.
Bro.
In that video right there, that's the whole problem. One of the contentions I had with her definition was that murder is the unlawful killing of a person. And
I'm sorry. Yep. My mistake. Because then after that, you said, It's begging the question
The
because
reason
it's
it was
for
is
the
because
personhood.
she never addressed why the fetus was a person in any
Understood.
of her videos. So there is some context in here from
No,
other
understood.
videos that you didn't directly address. You
Well, hold on.
picked some
Hold-
videos
Well, no,
to
hold on,
address,
hold
but
on.
not others.
I'll play the end of that video because that is important. I agree with you. That was my mistake.
Not that one. Like other videos. I've made other videos on the specific girl, Maya, whatever her at was. There's some
Okay.
a lot of other ones directly, and she never addressed it. So this was a video that had a lot of context surrounding it in a lot of different videos. I'd be happy to pull like all of those videos up where I was responding to her. We had like 2 or 3 responses, and she never addressed my point. So when I said it was a begging the question fallacy, I wasn't just addressing the fact that she didn't define it right then and there. It's that never in her argument did she ever substantiate the fact that a fetus was a person. Therefore, if she's going to now assume this and she never substantiated it, I'm going to be like, this is a begging the question fallacy.
But okay, that's fine. And this is the next thing where I say, well, it's not a begging the question fallacy. So it's not a begging the question fallacy because there is no circular logic. For it to be a begging the question fallacy, there has to be circular logic. That's not
Well,
circular.
she's assuming the fetus is a person, but she never argued for it.
You can. That's not what that's not what a begging the question fallacy is. So just assuming something is something, it more so prompts the question that, okay, well, why do you believe that it's a person? Right. That's not the same thing as begging the question.
And she just assumed it, and she did not ever respond to that question.
That's not what begging the question fallacy is, man. You don't know what that means. That's what I'm telling you.
There are if you assume your premise to be correct, then it is not.
Bro.
Then it is a begging the question fallacy.
Hold on.
The question because you're assuming that the fetus is a person, not arguing for it.
So you don't understand what a begging the question fallacy is. A begging the question fallacy requires the argument to be circular. Like saying women shouldn't fight in wars because soldiers should only be men. My conclusion is included in my premise and it is circular reasoning. Just saying that abortion is murder isn't circular reasoning. It only prompts one to ask the question, well, how is it murder? Or why do you believe that it's murder? Learn what... Right. So do you understand that what you're
Correct.
saying isn't a begging the question
And then if she never addressed the point, then she is assuming her premise to be true. Tyler, this is such a semantical thing for
this isn't
no reason.
semantical. You don't know what it means, so I'm trying to educate you.
Yes, it is. If you assume your premise to be true and not argue for it,
No, that's not. No, your reasoning has to be circular, right? So if she said, look, abortion is murder because it is, it's murder because, I don't know, killing is murder
because
or
you're
something
killing
like
a
that.
person.
Yeah, sure.
Because killing a. So she literally admitted
Sure.
that she thought it was murder and never substantiated why she thought it was murder.
But no, but that's what I'm saying. She only said that abortion is murder. That prompts you to ask the question, okay, well, how is it murder? Right? So if I say that women shouldn't fight in wars because wars shouldn't have women, that there is no thing that you could ask me and say, okay, well, why shouldn't women fight in wars? Well, I answered it, right? Because women shouldn't be there. And that's circular reasoning. That is a begging the question.
And in other videos, she talked about how it's killing
We're
a
not
person.
talking about other videos. We're talking about that video right there.
Tyler, when I'm addressing her, I'm addressing her in the full context of all of her videos and points that she's made, not just that one. So when you come in and you clip little parts of little videos and put them in to make your point here, wait, yes, one video out of multiple that I've made on her. And you would see that if you watch more than just one video, Tyler. So just because I'm only addressing a certain part or I'm addressing the broader amount of information she's given me does not mean that I am inaccurately addressing her point. It's that she didn't fully substantiate her argument in this post and other posts. And in other posts, she said that it is wrong because the fetus was a person. Is the word person not included in the definition of murder? If it is, then she said it's wrong to kill a person. She never substantiated it. There are other videos.
Okay, so then do you concede on this video that she wasn't begging the question?
No, because I wasn't just addressing this one video. Okay. I was addressing the broader context of videos.
Okay, all right. So we can go ahead and move on.
Okay, Tyler.
What the fallacy is before you start telling people that they're committing them.
Basically, my thought experiment was that if you are kidnapped and connected to someone's kidneys, should you be required to stay connected to their kidneys?
No, and this is completely disanalogous to pregnancy. I'm not responsible for their continued survival because I didn't force them to become dependent on my body. However, if I hooked you up to me and forced you to become dependent on my body, well, now I am responsible for your life. Just as the mother, through voluntary intercourse, forced that person to become dependent on her.
So pro-lifer.
So that one experiment was in response to her when I said to her, do you believe it should be the case? That was one girl. Her name was Conservative Caitlin. My scenario was directly in response to a rape scenario. Do you believe that if someone do you believe that if someone kidnaps you and takes you to their house and connects you to, I guess, the kidneys of their child, do you believe you should be connected to them? This is a totally different video now that you're using.
I responded to your video that you made on her,
Wait.
buddy.
I'm aware, and the person I was addressing was the person who said they believed in abortion in the case of rape, and I proposed that thought experiment.
Oliver, you're adding all these extra. That wasn't in this video. The video that you made, you laid out exactly what your argument was. I just debunked that. So do you concede on that?
Wait, what did you debunk?
I debunked your whole stance on the bodily autonomy and hooking somebody up to you.
The only but that reason, that example.
You keep saying,
"Oh,
there's some other videos. There's other videos
Tyler,
that have to do with this." Come on.
That example that I gave right there is analogous to the case of rape. I acknowledge that there are other objections, such as the responsibility objection, that the fact that the mother did not put, whether it be the fetus or you did not put that person in that person in a state of dependency. But that was not what that was addressing. So yes, what I was talking about was only supposed to be analogous in the case of rape. I was not using that case to represent all abortions or abortion as an entire concept.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to just go ahead and get into your stance here. So just to be clear, if you hold two separate ideals, that it's not a person and then also bodily autonomy would always trump it's not a person, because bodily autonomy doesn't require for it to be a person or not.
Sure.
Okay, so we can start with bodily autonomy.
If you want to do that, I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay. Now, because it doesn't matter if it's a person or not, then you can just go ahead and grant me that it is a person for this scenario.
Why not, for the sake of argument, and then we can go back to that.
Awesome. Sounds good. So, okay. So what is your bodily autonomy argument? Can you
Sure.
lay it out?
So yeah, absolutely. So it's basically this idea that the government cannot force you to use your body to sustain the life of another a human being without your consent. Now, what I will say is that there is a difference, and I will object to your, I guess, assertion that the mother puts the fetus in a state of dependency in the same way as you would make an analogous example to something like pushing someone off a cliff and holding them there. I don't think those are analogous, and the main difference is because in that scenario, you are actively making the condition of the person worse that what you're dealing with. If you hit someone with your car and now they need your kidneys, you have worsened their condition. If you're leaning someone over a cliff, you have taken them from a place at which they were safe, and then you put them in an unsafe position. When we're talking about the issue of pregnancy, you have only improved the fetus's condition. The fetus did not exist prior to the mother's action. So this would have us prompt the question: do you believe the fetus is better off if it existed and then was aborted, or rather never existed at all? And if we can get to the mutual understanding that it's better for a fetus to exist and then be aborted, then we can see that these examples are not analogous, because you did not make the condition of the fetus worse at any point. You only improved its condition. And I have a whole thought experiment that I can lay out to get your opinion on whether or not you think something like that would work in this scenario, which I believe to be more analogous to pregnancy.
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't matter if something is going to be better off when we're just talking about if you force someone to be dependent on your body. So hold on, let me finish. Okay. So hold on. So let me finish. So I'll just ask you just straight up: do you believe that the mother forced that, for the sake of argument, person? Do you believe that the mother forced that person to be dependent on her body?
Yes, but I believe that there is context surrounding that would make it justified for her to end that dependency, which I can provide in a thought experiment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's imagine that there is a doctor and he has a patient who comes in who has a serious kidney ailment. Basically, this person is going to die unless he is treated by this doctor. But this doctor knows that he has a drug. This drug, for sake of argument, is called D-Super. And the doctor prescribes this drug. And what it does is the doctor knows when he just prescribes this drug that it will generously extend the life of his patient for, let's say, 6 years. But after those 6 years, he knows that the patient will fall ill and need to be connected to his kidneys for 9 months in order to relieve that ailment. So the doctor knows when he prescribes that medication that person, because of providing that medication, that person, it will generously extend the life from 6 years. It will cause that person to exist longer than they previously would have. It would cause them to exist without them. Without the doctor, we can assume that person would die. And once they're given that, after that period that their life was extended, they would need to be hooked up to that person's kidneys for that additional 9 months. So the question comes down to, do you believe that the doctor should be legally obligated, we can talk about morally obligated, different ones, to allow that their patient the right to use their body for an additional 9 months after that period?
I'm so sorry. I'm not really following. So
Sure,
so
I can try
have
it,
you, yeah. If you can like just kind of give me the bullet points, I'm gonna kind of
Yeah.
see what
Do you
what you're
want me to
analogizing.
pull this up? I basically literally just wrote this up in the document today. If you want to read it, if that's easier.
Yeah,
I wrote it
that's
up.
fine. That's
Totally.
fine.
I don't really know how to screen share on here. I know maybe Sanvi has that document.
Just hit well,
Share?
I'll stop. Yeah, I gotta stop screen sharing mine.
Okay, 1 second. Let me take a look.
There
I
you
know
go.
those. Yeah, I know those can sometimes be complicated. Let me just pull this up.
Yeah, the more that someone talks, like when they give that
I get it.
example, it's just like
It's hard.
okay.
It's I didn't understand it the first few times I read through it, but I'll
Who'd you swipe it from?
I didn't. Well, I you could say I swiped it. I got it from a JSTOR article from this philosophy professor. But yeah, let me find it up here. All right, taking a look here. Okay. All right, not here. All right. All right. Let me screen share. Share screen. Easy for 2 monitors. Share screen. I don't even know if it's going to be the right screen. I think we're good. Yeah. Oh shoot, I won't be able to see you while I'm doing this because I also have a different screen going up. Okay. So you guys literally probably see this entire thing. Let's take a look here. So I can't see you, Tyler, but do you see kind of right here, this paragraph right here?
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically, yeah. So it's this scenario right here. Let's say that a patient comes to a doctor with a serious kidney ailment that will kill him unless treated. Only known treatment is a drug called D-Super. This drug will treat his illness and allow
All right,
him
so
to live.
hold on. All right, so patient comes to the doctor.
Yeah.
He has a kidney issue and
Yeah.
he wants the doctor to treat him.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So then the doctor knows, he's like, I have this drug. I know that if I give him this drug, it will generously extend the patient's life for 6 more years. It doesn't, the number is quite irrelevant, but
Sure.
it will extend its life. But after he gives him that drug, after those 6 years or
Yeah.
that period of time, then the patient, because of getting this drug D-Super, will now require the doctor's kidneys for 9 months, be connected to his kidneys. So do you believe that because the doctor gave him that medication that generously extended his life for 6 more years, but because regardless that dependency is now a result, do you think that therefore the government should compel this doctor?
Well, hold on. The government isn't compelling them to do it. The government is just going to charge him with murder if, in my scenario, my pro-life scenario, if you're making an analogous, that the government would just charge him for murder or some type of homicide or whatever. But yeah, absolutely, 1,000%, right? So that patient, when they came in, they were not dependent on this, or I'm sorry, the doctor did not force this person to be dependent on their body, didn't even cause this whole mishap. You're just saying, okay, well, the doctor of his own volition chose to give him this thing knowing that he is going to be dependent on his body at some point in time. So can you kill them? No, you did an action. You caused someone to become dependent on your body. So no, you cannot kill them.
No, I'm not talking about killing them. Do you believe now, after that point, do you believe the government should be able to force that doctor to use his kidneys to sustain that life?
Again, that's a misconception of my. It's not forcing them to use their kidneys. It's not like they're holding you down saying you have to do this. It's saying, okay, well, if you don't, because you force them into that state of dependency, they're already hooked up to you, right? So in this thing, so they're already hooked up to you. So if I disconnect them, then now I am responsible for their death, right? Then we're just going to charge you for that. But it's not like the government's holding you down saying you have to do this. It's, hey, you're free to not do it. But if you don't, I mean, you killed them, you're responsible for them, and you should go to jail.
Okay, so then I guess it's a little bit different then. I'm not sure how you justify this idea. So do you believe that if you hit someone with your car then, and you are connected...
See, your oh shit, my bad. So your scenario, Oliver, is very similar to like if somebody was like hanging off of a cliff. Like if somebody's hanging off of a cliff.
Well, no, I asked you about the car thing. Can you answer that first?
Well,
I
you
was asking
already
a
asked
question.
me your one thought experiment. Can I not respond?
Well, no, but okay, fine. Yeah, you can go off of that.
Okay, so I'm saying, and then you can ask me yours, and then we'll go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So your scenario is just like someone who is hanging off of a cliff. If I am walking by and that person is hanging off of a cliff, and then I decide to help them up, okay, so I helped them up, but then I'm like, you know what? I don't really want you to be up anymore, or maybe you're somehow dependent on me for some reason. You need something, I don't know what it is, and then I push you off again. It's like, no, I can't do that. Like, I took the responsibility because I chose to help you, right? So I chose to put you in there. It's not entirely analogous, because now I'm talking about like you didn't really force them into a state of dependency. But
Yeah.
just the first part, like, is what matters to me for this example. Is that, look, you chose of your own volition to do this, right? So you have some responsibility over that person, at least not to kill them now,
Well,
right? So
okay.
go ahead and tell me what.
Yeah,
you
no.
were
So
gonna say.
I'm really confused now, because if you think that they should be able, okay, so then what if we assumed, for sake of
Yeah.
argument, that in my whole doctor scenario, that this person, that they weren't connected to the kidneys yet? Do you believe that they, like, the government should, I mean, when we say force, Tyler, of course we mean under threat of there will be retaliation for that. You know what I mean? Like, you
No,
know, that's what force means, right?
no, that's one definition of what force means.
Wait, but Tyler, fine. Then I guess if the government makes a mask mandate, that's not forcing people to
So-
wear masks. If you don't wear a mask, you just get fined. It's not force.
Hold on. So you could say that that's coercion, but force doesn't need coercion.
Okay, fine. Coercion.
Right.
The government.
No. My point is that force doesn't need coercion, right? Through your own efforts, if you bring about a conclusion, then you force that to be.
Okay,
That's
fi-
definitionally
I have
correct.
Sure, fine. So I guess I can try a different thought experiment. I guess let's say that you decide not to wear a mask and you have COVID, and you give someone else COVID, and now they're in the hospital and they require your kidneys to
Hold on. Are you
survive.
moving on from the doctor analogy?
No. I'm just trying to provide an example that's more, I guess, makes more sense to you, because I'm really confused this kind of distinction you're making
hold on.
between
Hold on.
force and coercion.
Okay, so then we could just get into that, but you shouldn't need to move on to another thought experiment if your first thought experiment was fine.
Wait,
I mean, unless you're conceding on it.
No. It was fine. I'm asking you a question. This doesn't make sense to
Well,
me.
you
Tyler.
didn't respond. You didn't respond to what I said about the doctor.
What did you say about the doctor? Then you can.
So
say it again.
So I told you that that doctor made the conscious decision to do an action
Okay.
that's going to force that person to become reliant on their body, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even matter like what the time is, right? If I pushed a button, right, and it forced you to become dependent on my body, I can't then kill you, because through my action, you are now relying on me only through my action.
Well,
right?
so-
Wouldn't have
so-
been otherwise.
so the
Do you
question-
agree? Do you agree?
Not quite, no. And let me explain exactly why. And the reasoning is because I think there's a difference between being responsible for someone's existence, and as a result of their existence, they now have needs, rather than just causing someone to be needy. So the question now comes down to, and I've asked this before and I never really got an answer from you. Do you believe that it is better if a fetus exists and is then aborted, or never existed at all?
I'm gonna hold my mic. I'm gonna hold my fucking mic because it's.
You're good. I just have do you believe the fetus? It's better for a fetus to be conceived and then actually, let's not even use abortion then. Do you believe it's better that a fetus exists and then is miscarried? A result is miscarriage.
Oliver, you're moving on to things
Wait.
that we're still on this.
Tyler, do you
You're
realize
moving-
that I'm trying to understand your position better so that I can address exactly what you're saying. Sometimes in order to address your point, I have to better understand exactly what you're saying in order to apply that. Just because I'm not
Oliver.
directly talking about what you're saying does not mean I'm avoiding what you're saying. I'm trying to gain your understanding of another thing so I can apply that to what we're talking about.
Oliver, I told you what my point was, right? I told you in the beginning what my point was when it comes to forced dependency. You acknowledged it. Even when you brought up your thought experiment, I told you that, okay, well, you forced that person to become dependent on your body. And I even analogized that to, because we, like you said, the amount of time that is irrelevant. So I said, okay, well, if I just push a button and then you are dependent on me, or some person is dependent on my body, should I be able to kill them? And then you said you didn't agree.
I don't think you should be able to, and that's because you worsened their condition. You made them worse off.
I made them worse off?
Correct. You worsened their condition.
Because I killed them?
Yes, they were previously not dependent on you.
Okay.
And they existed as an outside entity, and then you worsened their condition. That is not the case when it comes to a fetus in pregnancy. It never existed prior to the mother's action. The
How do you
mother's
know? How do you
action
know that I
only
worsen their
improved.
condition? How do you know that I worsen their condition?
What?
I
What
mean,
are you talking about?
I could add whatever I want in there. I could say that this person has been abused their entire life. They are being
Because
abused
being in a state of
constantly.
oh my God, because
They are
being in a state of-
constantly being abused. I could, because that's all you're saying. So I could say that they are constantly being abused physically, whatever you want to say. I could say that they're being tortured, right? I could say whatever I want to say, right? And then I'm saying, okay, but I'm still responsible for
Tyler,
their death.
we're talking about dependency, correct? They were
Oliver-
dependent previously. When I use the word worsen, I mean by the state. This is so semantical. This is ridiculous. I'm talking about the concept
Words
of
matter.
dependency. Yeah, and then when I talk about words, you say that it like wasn't relevant before. But regardless, when we're talking about the definition of murder, and I was talking about the definition of whatever,
Because that's an appeal to
ridiculous.
definition fallacy. Yeah, but go ahead.
Definition of whatever. I don't want to go back to that, Tyler. Definitions are what define things. We need to have
I
definitions.
didn't say that they weren't. I didn't say that they weren't.
Appeal to
You don't-
definition. If we appeal to a definition of a word in order
That's
to
not what
correctly
appeal to
define
definition
that,
fallacy
I don't
means.
see it. Okay, then what is an appeal to definition fallacy so I can better understand exactly what you're talking about?
An appeal to definition fallacy is if you use a definition. So here, I'll give you an example to make it easier. So let's say that my definition of force, right? Because maybe we don't agree. Let's say that my definition of force is in 1 out of, I don't know, 1,000 dictionaries. And I use this dictionary to go ahead and prove my assertion is correct. Well, then I would just be appealing to this definition, right? Not really how it's used in practice. Or so on and so forth, right? Now, you were appealing to a definition fallacy, or you had an appeal to definition fallacy because what you did is you took a word, which was murder, and then you said, okay, well, because it doesn't set up with what this is, then it must be not murder because that's not how it's practiced in law. You would have to go by like how the law actually practices.
Sure.
But again, we already went through that. I'm not trying to go through that again. So get back to what you were saying.
Okay, so what I'm trying to set up here, I'm trying to understand whether or not you believe that a fetus is it like can you please answer this question and not dodge it just for once? Can I ask you a
Sure,
question?
go
Can you
ahead.
answer
Ask me
it?
a question.
Fine. Okay, so do you think it's better if a fetus is conceived and then miscarried, or if the fetus was never conceived at all?
I'd say that's irrelevant to my point.
No, can you answer it, Tyler?
That is me answering. It's irrelevant
No,
to
it's
my
not.
argument.
It is
How is it-
relevant to my argument, Tyler.
So that doesn't matter. That you're operating within my framework when you ask me a question, right?
No.
So yes, when I'm asking you a question, I'm operating within yours. Yes. So if you ask me a
Okay,
question,
then I'll just say that every question you ask is irrelevant to me.
well, if it is actually irrelevant to your argument, then sure. If it's irrelevant to your argument, but this is irrelevant to mine because look, you would have to understand what my argument is, right?
Tyler,
So-
you don't understand my argument, which is why you're not answering my question.
No, Oliver. You're asking me if something is better off,
And
right?
and I will explain to you why after
That's-
you answer the question.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is that I don't care, right? It's irrelevant to my argument if they are better off or not. Even if they were better off, doesn't mean that we should have the right to kill them.
We're talking about better off in terms of dependency. It's making someone like their physical being was made worse off. If you're hanging someone off a cliff, they are worse off. They're in more danger than they were before you did that. Now, when we're talking about a fetus in pregnancy, the reason that I'm bringing this up, Tyler, is because when we're talking about something like being
What's
worse
in more
off,
danger? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You said something is more danger. What'd you say?
if you're leaning someone off a cliff, they're in more danger than
I
if
didn't
you
make that.
never
I'm not
initiated
making
on
that
them.
analogy in this discussion.
Okay, Tyler. Then what analogy do you want to go off of?
I'm going based off
wait.
of what you're saying, Oliver. So
I'm really confused though, because I referenced a point that you made in a different debate, and you say I can't reference that. You say that we can only go off of bodily autonomy because in a document that I wrote, I only address bodily autonomy. So am I not allowed to address things outside of this debate? Because then I would like you to stop saying that my only argument is bodily autonomy then.
Oliver, I'm telling you that I didn't bring this up here.
Okay.
right? So it has nothing to do with anything that I'm saying.
Okay, so then don't talk about this outside document than what I'm talking about, because that has nothing to do with what I'm saying when it comes to this idea of personhood. Cool?
Okay, fine. Yeah, we can go ahead and move forward. That's fine. I'm
Okay,
okay
so
with that, buddy.
so the reason that I was asking this question regarding dependency is because you can be responsible for someone's existence, but not be responsible for, given that they exist, they have needs in that state of existence. So if we both agree, and I don't know if you agree, and it seems like you would have to agree if you maintain the pro-life stance that at conception, it has moral worth, or you don't like the term value, I don't know why, but it has moral worth at conception, then your argument would necessitate that it is better if a fetus is conceived and then unfortunately miscarries than never existed at all. If that's the case, then we can move
That's
forward.
such a false dichotomy. That's such
Wait,
a false
how?
dichotomy. Because
How?
that's not my position. I told you that it doesn't matter if they are better off or not. It's irrelevant.
Yeah. Tyler,
That's completely
it's not
irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant whatsoever at all. I
Oliver.
asked you a question, and can you just answer it?
Oliver,
If it's irrelevant, then
I
why can't you
answered
answer it?
Oliver, I've answered you. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit if you don't like my answer, but that is
It's
my
not
answer.
an answer.
It is
It's not
irrelevant
an
to my
answer.
argument. It doesn't
Wait,
matter.
if it's irrelevant, then just answer it, and then it will have no consequence on
Sure,
this
sure.
position whatsoever at
Whatever
all.
answer you want, then okay, whatever.
Okay, fine.
What are you saying? So
So
you're
it
saying
would-
you're saying because it's not better off that we should be able to kill them?
No.
I'm asking. I'm not strawmanning you. I'm asking you.
Okay, fine. The point of this argument is that when we're discussing something like whether something is better off, then that would mean that the fetus existing and then unfortunately being miscarried would be better than the fetus never existing at all. So we're granting the premise that the fetus existing is a good thing. Given that the fetus exists, it has needs. Are those needs a result of the mother, or is it a result of it existing? And if it is a result of it existing, then we can't say that therefore it would be worse off had it not existed. So that's the entire point of this argument, is you're trying to say that the mother is responsible, but we're also granting the premise that it would be better off anyway. So I'm so confused by this argument
So
that
this
you're
is,
even making.
and I actually kind of made this point earlier, but I can just make it more direct to you. So this is why, if a being is better off due to us doing something, and they're no longer, you're just saying, okay, well they're better off because why?
But they're better off. What do you mean? Because when we're talking about specifically this example, look,
Yeah.
I'm referring, and I'm sorry, I don't know why you don't want me to refer to this, because I've heard you make this argument, and it is, unless it's not your position anymore. We're talking about this hanging off the cliff experiment, right? When you're hanging someone off a cliff, you've actively worsened.
You're talking about the video that I made
position.
when you hang up. Yeah, my whole point on that was just that you're forcing someone to be dependent on your body.
And
Sure.
in that, and forcing them into that state of dependence worsens their condition.
Okay.
Before they were not in that state of they were not in that state of dependency. When we're talking about pregnancy, you brought someone into existence, and therefore, as a result of them existing, now they have needs.
Okay, so you're saying
That's
so
my
you're saying
entire
it
point,
only.
Tyler.
Okay, so this is what I'm telling you is that just because you took my example to where they were worse, I guess you want to say their position or their existence or whatever was worse off than it was before, that doesn't matter. That's just a consequence of whatever scenario I came up with. I mean, I could come up with another scenario where it doesn't worsen off their position, and then I'm sure that you would concede on it.
Doesn't worsen off their condition. Which one? Which scenario?
Okay, let's say that we're talking about bodily autonomy, right?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So let's say that a father and a son, let's say his son is 5 years old. Let's say that they're on a plane and they crash in the mountains. They're the only survivors. They crash into like a cave or something like that. Now, they are going to die if they do not get out of there. The father, let's say that he's like a fucking rock climber or whatever. He's really good. And the only way to get out of this and to get to safety, to what he believes anyway, is to climb up this mountain wall, which is, let's say it's 60 feet, right? So now the 5-year-old obviously can't do this. 5-year-old is scared, 5-year-old is whatever. But the father says, no, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put you on my back, and we're going to go ahead and scale up this wall because I believe that I can do it and whatever, right? So he starts to climb up the wall. Now, this child is completely dependent on his body for survival.
You worsened its condition. Before it was dependent,
no,
and
you
now
didn't.
it's not dependent. Yes, because
Well,
you
hold on.
worsened the state of dependency.
Hold on. So child will die if the father does no action.
Yeah, and you worsened its state. Are we talking about specifically that action, not this larger thing like that? We're talking about specifically
Child
in this
will
scenario.
die. Child will fucking starve if the father does nothing. So it's definitive that they will die this way, and the other way is it's not
And
definitive
that
they
act
will
of
die.
dependency, you made them dependent on you. And we're talking about the act of dependency, it worsened it in that isolated example. I'm not talking about the broader example. I'm talking about specifically in that example, it worsens the state of dependency. It makes the state of dependency greater. It is more dependent than it previously was.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying is that the father should just let the kid starve?
I never said that the father
I'm asking.
should let him starve. No, I never said that. And I don't believe that the father should be able to drop that child off of his back because he increased the level of dependency from its previous stage.
Okay, forget about the dropping part, but you're talking about something worsened, whatever. So,
Yes.
should the father be able to put the child on his back?
Sure.
Okay, okay, because he believes it's the best thing or whatever. It doesn't even
Sure,
actually matter,
yeah.
right? Okay, okay. So then once he drops him, why can't he drop him?
Because that initial action made the child who was previously not dependent on the father's back now dependent on the father's back. The child existed in a state where he was not dependent on the father's back for survival. Now he is. There was no prior stage of existence where the fetus was not dependent on the mother. It either exists and is dependent, or it doesn't exist. The child can
I agree.
exist without being dependent on the back of the father.
But
Or the father in general.
But again, but you haven't really substantiated like why that matters. The only thing that would matter is that you are dependent on that person. Your whole thing is, oh well, they're better off. It doesn't matter. Like nothing that you're saying like actually matters. Like if you are dependent on someone, this is it. Like if person A forces person B to be dependent on their body,
Okay.
should they be able to kill them? That's it.
So Tyler, then what I'm not understanding here. Fine. All of that, let's accept that. I'll even use your word concede just so we can actually move on to another point. Can I ask you then a question? Because I've addressed, and I guess I'm going backwards in my thought experiments. I went on a different one because I thought it would be, these responses I'm getting from you are weird. So let's say that I do hit you with my car and cause you to need my kidneys to survive. Do you believe the government should require me to allow you to use my kidneys to survive because I made you dependent on my body through my action?
Explain the entire. Give me the full scenario.
Sure, full thought experiment. So let's say that I am driving my car recklessly, and as a result of my reckless driving and action, I hit you with my car and cause you to need my kidneys to survive. And the only way that you will survive is if you are connected to my kidneys for, let's say, 9 months. Do you believe that I should be required by law to allow you the use of my kidneys?
Okay, so hold on. So the impending death would have to be due to the fault of the driver. So it's your fault, right?
Yeah, it's my fault.
Okay, so it's your fault. So when we're comparing this to pregnancy,
I'm just asking a question. Can you?
No,
answer
I'm
the thought experiment?
I'm thinking it out loud, right?
Okay.
So due to your actions as the driver, you forced some other person into a state of dependency on your body.
Yes.
Okay, so they're going to die.
Unless you are connected to my kidneys for 9 months, you will die.
So then to make this analogous to like the pro-life abortion stance, you would have to say this is why this car analogy doesn't really pan out, because you would have to say, okay, well then if you do sacrifice your bodily autonomy for whatever given amount of time that you won't be charged for their murder, then I'd say sure, yeah, fine.
So do you believe that the government should, by law, they would have to allow you, they would force you, because if you don't, then you won't. I'm really confused by the answer you just gave. Would you mind?
So what you said
substantiating
is that you forced another person. So it was your fault, right? You were the driver.
Yes.
You caused this fault. If that person dies, you're going to go for murder or whatever it's going to be. Okay, so they're going to go for murder. Okay, hold on. Let me finish.
Why? Oh, this is so good.
Okay,
Why are they being punished? Why would you be punished in the first scenario?
In the scenario that you just gave me?
Yeah. Why would you be punished in that?
Because you killed them. You're responsible for their death.
And what action killed them?
You hitting them.
Absolutely. And what action, when we compare this to pregnancy, put the fetus in a state of dependency?
Sex,
right?
Yeah.
So
it
therefore,
doesn't
I
matter.
apologize if I'm cutting out. I'm waiting for you.
No, so
to
it doesn't
come back.
matter. Like if you're trying to
Tyler?
say, oh well, sex. Well, then you would have to
My
say that
bad.
sex should be illegal. Well, hold on.
Yeah.
No, you're back. So
back,
so
sorry.
this point that you're going to make, that you're going to say, oh well, sex would have to then be illegal. That doesn't actually
Yes.
matter. It
does.
It doesn't actually matter.
How does it not matter?
It doesn't matter if whatever action you did, if the action is legal or illegal. The only thing that matters is that through your action, you force this person to be dependent on you. That's it.
Wait, but the government would be punishing
They're
you.
not. No, they're not. They're not punishing you for sex. They're punishing you for killing them.
Wait, yes, they're punished, but the action that put them in a state of
That doesn't
dependency.
matter. The only thing that matters is that you killed them. Like
Tyler.
you would have to take the stance that like sex is then like, or you would have to take the stance that like I don't know, like pregnancy is like a moral negative. Like I don't take the stance that pregnancy is a moral negative. Maybe
Probably
if you were
'cause
like
you've never been pregnant.
maybe if you were like an anti-natalist and you wanted to take that position, but I'm not one, right? And you're
I don't
not
know.
one.
I can't make a judgment on whether pregnancy is a negative. I'm sure that is a subjective experience for every single woman who's pregnant. I'm not going to make a claim on whether or not pregnancy is a negative.
I'm talking about like an objectively moral statement saying that okay, it's objectively immoral, right? So that's like something that like an anti-natalist would say, right? Is that it's objectively immoral, right? You and I don't take that stance, right?
I don't really care. I wouldn't say I have a stance on that.
Well, do you think that someone being pregnant is objectively immoral?
I mean, I don't think that really objective, of anything. I don't ascribe to, whether it would be objectively moral
Okay,
or
so
moral.
then
I
if you
think it would
don't,
be
so then
a neutral
okay.
action. I don't really care. I don't
Exactly.
matter to me.
It's exactly my position, is that it's a moral neutral. It's not objectively moral or immoral. So we're on the same stance.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying,
So
is that
Tyler, can the government, should you be punished for not donating your kidney to the person who you hit with your car?
that's disanalogous.
How is it disanalogous?
That's completely disanalogous. Dude. So hold on. So in your entire scenario, in your entire car analogy, right? If I hit somebody, I'm just going to restate it. If I hit somebody with my car and this person is going to die, right? Due to my action,
Yes.
I'm like, they're dying. Okay, so they're going to die. Now,
Yes.
I can choose to sacrifice my bodily resources and then they not die and I not be charged for their murder. Then yes, I think that's a fair trade-off. I don't know anybody who would really not accept that. I'd be like, yeah, sign me the fuck up for that. I don't know what else you want me to say.
Wait, correct. But so I can make this more analogous than if you want. Let's say that we're both driving in our cars and I hit you and I cause you to be dependent on my body, but as a result, I'm unconscious and they take me to the hospital and they connect me to you. So I never made the conscious choice to give
you're making
my
a rape.
kidney.
You're making a rape analogy.
No. Well, it wouldn't be a rape analogy because I hit you with my car and I caused you to be dependent on me. So there is that responsibility
okay. So hold on.
thing.
Okay, go ahead.
So there, yeah. So then do you think at that point I'm connected to you? Do you believe that legally I should not be allowed to connect from you?
So you hit somebody, they're going to die?
And yeah, they're going to die and I was unconscious due to the accident. And we both end up in the hospital and I wake up connected to you.
Okay, so somebody else forced you to be dependent on them?
I mean, sure, yeah, I don't see how that's
Or
relevant.
forced them to be dependent on you? I'm sorry.
I mean, sure, the doctors hooked me up.
Okay, then I would say that's like analogous to rape.
Well, it wouldn't be analogous to rape because my action is what caused you to be dependent on me. You needed my kidneys to survive.
Okay, so then how are you making this analogous to like pregnancy and
Okay,
abortion?
fine. I can make it a little bit different. Do you think... Actually, this is actually really interesting. Like, 'cause if someone willingly allows them to be dependent on their body, do you believe that... Let's assume that that I allow you the use of my kidneys. Let's say, this is actually interesting. Let's say that I hit you with my car and I say, sure, fine. I will allow this person to be connected to my kidneys. But after a month or so, I start to experience serious pain as a result of this. Do you believe I should have do you think the government should force me to stay connected to you? Or do you believe I should have the ability to disconnect? I agree to be connected to you.
Right. So this is why I said like these car analogies aren't going to be completely analogous to when it comes to pregnancy, because for one, you have different obligations that you have to your child than you have to obligations to other people.
Okay.
Right. So when you have an obligation to your child, you have an obligation to feed, shelter, and provide reasonable care. Those are certain things. Not only that, but you also have an obligation to attempt to save their life. As long as it's not going to kill you, you don't have to self-sacrifice, right? But you have those things. You don't actually have to do that for other people. So in your scenario is just as disanalogous. I'd say, I don't know, you'd have to work out whatever kind of contract you had with that, but you can't really work out a contract with a zygote or an embryo, right?
Well, I guess I wasn't talking about necessarily a contract. The question is, if you willingly allow someone to be dependent on your body for a period of time, does that mean that you automatically consent to them having the use of their body for as long as they need? Like yeah, this is like a hypothetical or something.
Yeah, again. So like if you're saying that like for me, if I wanted to have some type of contract or some type of agreement saying, okay, I'm going to give them my kidney for this amount of time, and that person says yes, and we agree, bet we came to a mutual agreement, and then if they break that agreement or I suffer some type of pain, then I can go ahead and void my contract or it's in my contract that I can go ahead and shut that down or sever that connection. That has nothing to do with pregnancy because the fetus cannot consent to anything.
Wait, yeah, so there was never a contract that was made because the fetus didn't exist at the act that resulted in
They can't
it being
consent,
conceived.
and if you can't consent,
Sorry, I have to fix this. I'm turning on do
so
not disturb.
the fetus, the zygote cannot consent.
Okay.
So you're doing everything against their consent.
Okay. I mean, you could say, but we could also say it would be morally neutral. The agent does not exist. The fetus doesn't exist.
That's morally neutral is fine. But like what I'm saying is that if the fetus cannot consent, right? The fetus can't consent to being there, and you just place them there against their consent, then you can't say, you know what, because this or X, Y, and Z is happening, that I can go ahead and kill them. Now, if you're talking about like medical emergencies, I think that's kind of like what you're tiptoeing on here. So if you're talking about medical emergencies, I think that there needs to be some type of, I don't know, some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of equilibrium or I don't think that's the right word I'm looking for, but between like the mother and the mother dying, chances of the mother dying and chances of like the fetus dying.
Okay, so I'm trying to at least, I guess, understand, I guess, where you're coming from here. I'm wondering, let's say, and let's even say that there's not a contract. I don't really know if it has to be a legal contract. I guess we're talking about, let's say that there wasn't a contract, that I, decide, okay, I'm going to let this person be dependent on my kidneys because, I decided to make that decision. But let's say that I want to disconnect from them. Do you believe I should have the ability to do that?
I was fucking with this thing at the bottom.
No, you're fine.
What did you say?
So if I'm connected,
because Sanvi keeps giving everybody the fucking the join code.
What'd you say?
Oh, I was wondering. I'm like, there's so many private chats here. What's going on?
Because Sanvi keeps bringing people into the fucking thing. Why are you giving people that link?
No, I didn't give anyone anything. It just.
And why are there 27
I don't know how to give
private
people
chats?
Oliver, did you give anybody the link?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
I didn't give anyone the link.
I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Okay, my bad.
I think I'm streaming.
I figured
it's on me.
I have a trust issue with women. I have intimacy.
No,
I have trust issues.
No, I'm
my
sorry,
mother betrayed
Tyler,
me, so I always
Tyler,
go there.
I'm streaming on Twitch, which
so it's
means
Oliver.
That, yeah, it's me. I'm sorry. My bad, man. That's why.
It's so good. I can ban them.
Yeah,
I can ban
you can
them.
ban them. It's because I was streaming on Twitch and they can see the stream because I'm like streaming my screen. All right.
It's not a big deal.
Me.
My apologies for using my own childhood trauma of neglect from my mother.
I mean, I know I'm smarter than Oliver. I'll neg him after this.
Okay.
All right. Whatever you say, Zombie.
Tyler's sex is confirmed. Facts.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know. This has been interesting, man. I don't know. I have to go by probably 10 or 15 minutes, but
okay. So so we've gone through all these different thought experiments. I mean, at one point so hold on. So let's just kind of end this. I'll take like 5 minutes, and if Sanvi has any questions or had anything to say to you, maybe you could talk to her for like the remaining 10 minutes, and then you can go ahead and jet. So all right. So do you agree? I'm just going to ask you some like rapid fire questions here.
Well, you didn't answer my questions when I asked.
I answered all your questions.
No, you said it's irrelevant to my points. Maybe I should respond to all of these, which is relevant. Well, you never initially addressed whether or not you think it would be immoral. It's better whether the fetus came into existence.
that is irrelevant. I don't care. So that's why I said you could take it any answer that you want. It doesn't matter if they are better off or not better off. It doesn't matter to my position, because just because something is going to be better off doesn't mean that we should have the legal obligation to kill them, right? Or I'm sorry, we should have the legal right to kill them. Sanvi, I think your thing is messing up again. Your mic.
Okay.
Right. It doesn't mean that we should have the legal right to kill them. Again, so like if somebody is in an abusive relationship and they are being abused, should I have the legal right to kill them and end their suffering? Like, so when you say better off, like it's just irrelevant to my point.
Okay, sure, fine. Okay, so whatever you want to go over here.
Okay, so so you understand that then?
Sure, man.
How better off doesn't matter.
I mean, not exactly, because I think when we're talking about someone being better off or not, it is relevant to whether or not, therefore, now they have an extended responsibility. This is just here. I promise, Tyler. I'll provide this, and it's just this idea of you cause someone to exist. Therefore, do you have an obligation to everything that they need after you cause them to exist? An example would be, let's say that you and I are having lunch, and you start to choke. And I give you the Heimlich. And let's assume that if I don't give you the Heimlich, you're going to die. I give you the Heimlich, I save your life. Therefore, every moment after that, I am the cause. I am one of the reasons that you currently exist. Therefore, does that mean I have to provide for all of your needs after that point just because I caused you to exist? I am the reason you exist. Just like the mother and the father are the reason.
I understand. I completely understand. Yeah. I absolutely not. I don't believe that. And again, so a couple distinctions. One, right? You're talking about a stranger versus your child. Right. So hold on. Let me finish.
Make it a child. I think that's relevant to my point. Though.
Go ahead. Do it again.
I'll do the same one as you. Let's say that you're having lunch with your son or something, and your son starts choking.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you give your son the Heimlich, he's already alive, and then suddenly, well, kidney example. I'll go through that. And then do you think you should be required by law to give him
hold on.
kidney?
So they're choking, and now you're talking about a kidney. What are we talking
Wait,
about here?
okay, Tyler. I thought I could go over this a little bit faster because we've gone over this example like 20
Well, you didn't
times.
have kidney the first time. You said just
Yes, I did.
choking, and then you said,
Well,
"Are you responsible for everything
Are
thereafter?"
you responsible for everything after? So let's say
Okay,
that
so-
suddenly that child develops a blood disease that requires a blood transfusion. Do you believe that you as a parent should? Well, we don't even need that because you were the reason for their existence. Do you believe that if
a
you're
blood transfusion?
Yeah.
I don't even need that. So they need some type of blood transfusion. It's not going to drain me. They just need my blood.
yeah?
Okay.
Do you believe you should be required by the government?
Otherwise, they die.
Otherwise, they die
Absolutely. I believe you should
by
absolutely be compelled.
by the government.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
You should require them. Okay.
1,000%. Right?
Okay.
Because a person. So hold on. Because a parent is responsible to feed, shelter, and give reasonable care.
Totally.
I don't think that is unreasonable. Right? You would have to say how that's unreasonable. Like, how is it unreasonable? You'd only say, well, it's inconvenient for me to have to give them a vial of my blood, otherwise
Sure.
they die.
So
right?
can I talk about
that's
two different
it's not
parental?
unreasonable.
Can I talk about two different parental relationships that I think are relevant in this discussion?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oliver, so are you going to stay on for like another half hour and we can go through everything?
Sure,
or are
sure.
you still
Yeah.
bouncing so I can ask you some of these things and Sanvi can hit you with it and then we could do that? If you're
no.
staying for like another half hour, we can just go through everything.
Probably stay for another half hour. I can probably.
Okay, all right,
just
so go ahead.
ignore
What are you
what's
saying?
going on.
What
Yeah.
are you saying?
So I think there are two different, because you talk about parental relationships and like the stranger versus offspring objections. I hear it. I'm going to stop because
Yeah.
I think I disconnected. I'm back. Okay. No, I am. Sorry, my internet. I'm like running 5 things at once. But when it comes down to this question of the stranger versus offspring objection, as we call it, you're saying, oh, this person is a stranger versus our own offspring. However, I think there are two different types of parental relationships, and that would be a biological parental relationship and a custodial parental relationship. Basically, what I would say is, in order for you to say that the sole relationship between the mother and the fetus is grounds for the mother to have an obligation to allow the fetus the use of her body, you would also have to say, let's just provide this example that, I don't know, you're involved with a girl, you're involved with a woman, and she steals some of your, I don't care, I'm not going to be politically correct here. She steals some of your semen, and she takes that to a sperm donor, or she uses that to conceive a child via IVF and raises that child without your knowledge. Now, in 30 years, I don't know how old you're going to be at that point. I don't know, 50 or 60. Therefore,
60, bro. I'll be 60. I'll be
60.
old,
Okay,
so-
60, something like that, whatever. But at that point, now that child that is probably 30 or something now needs needs a blood transfusion to survive. Do you believe? You've never met this child. You've never raised this child. You've never interacted with them. It's a solely biological relationship that you didn't even know you had.
I get where you're going. So I'm gonna kind of just
Do you believe the government should require you to donate the blood transfusion?
So first and foremost, so a couple of things. So one, a parent's obligation to like attempt to save their child, food, feed, shelter, provide reasonable care, all of that we have deemed. Now, I don't know if it might be different state by state, but generally speaking, here in the United States, we choose to end that at age 18. Now,
fine,
if you
make
wanted
it
to-
18. Make
Okay.
the child be 15. Make the child be 10. Let's say that it's only 10 years after that child is born. Do you believe that you should be required, as the biological father of that child, to give that 10-year-old child a blood transfusion by the government?
No, they have no legal responsibility over them. So when I'm talking about, so here's why
Why
I think I'm going to explain it, right? So when we're talking about that, when I say that a parent, I could even say, if you want to be more specific, I would say like the legal guardian.
Okay.
Now at conception, but here's why at conception it doesn't really matter, because at conception she there are no rights that are given up, right? She is the legal guardian of that person, for the sake of argument, right? So she is the legal guardian of that person. Now, once the child is born, if she gives her rights away and she has the child adopted or so on and so forth, then it's no longer her responsibility. But hold on,
know for
but
certain?
while she is pregnant, right? So she is the legal guardian of this person.
Okay,
That person in your scenario,
fetus,
that
yeah.
person wouldn't be like legal guardian.
Okay, so she has technical custody of the child at birth. So you would say that a custodial relationship exists at conception?
I would say, if you're talking about legal guardianship, sure.
Legal guardianship? Okay.
Yeah,
So then
whoever is the
therefore
legal
she.
guardian, whoever is the legal guardian has the
Okay.
has the legal obligation. Because again, I'm talking from like a legal stance. Has the legal obligation. You can talk in a morality. It's like, oh well, as a father, you might be morally whatever, but legally speaking, that yeah, you're just talking about whoever the
Sure.
legal guardian is.
So then, if let's say because you think that the mother or the mother should be required to provide her uterus for that child. So let's say that she gives birth to
Oliver,
that
Oliver,
child.
Oliver. So hold on, real quick. So are you
Yeah.
gonna end this to where like we can go back and just sum up
Yes.
everything that we did?
Sure.
Or
Absolutely. I will
no,
give
but
you.
I'm not trying to just cut you off immediately, but you just keep going and,
No.
and going, and I want to go back.
Absolutely.
But if you want to finish this on your side, or at least that part, by following up with this last question, I'll answer it for you, and then I'll kind of ask you some.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. All I'm asking is if you think that the mother should be required to use her body to sustain the life of the fetus. Let's say that the child. So you think if the child is born and requires some sort of, let's even say, a kidney transplant or some sort of thing from the father, you think the father should be required at birth to provide that for his child?
I don't find that a kidney transplant is reasonable.
Why not?
Well, why would it be? Why would you say that giving up your kidney is reasonable? Giving
Because-
a blood donation would not be unreasonable.
Oh.
Hold on. Giving
Wait,
a
this
blood
was the only
donation.
distinction you were making?
Hold on. Giving a blood donation would not be okay. So hold on. Wait. Oliver. So would you say? Okay, I'm going to ask you two questions here. So one, do you find it unreasonable to have to give up your kidney to your kid?
Wait, yes, but I also find it unreasonable to have
No,
to give up your uterus to your kid.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, do you find it unreasonable to, for a mother, let's say that she's in, I don't know, she's in the mountains with her kid. Her kid is 2 years old, or no, fuck it, it's a newborn. Let's say that it's a newborn. They were on a plane. Their plane was hijacked, so completely outside of her control. Her plane was hijacked. The hijackers crashed it into a mountain. Now she's out there and she's there's no food. I don't know if you know
Breast
anything
milk
about
thing?
I don't-
Yeah, breast milk.
Yeah,
Yeah, fine. That right there. Okay,
Okay,
sure.
so
No,
should
and the
should she
reason
be legally obligated? So I want
No,
to say
yes,
it to anybody
yes,
who isn't
yes.
going to understand. Should she be legally obligated to have to provide breast
Mm-hmm.
milk to her child?
Well, I think it does come down to whether or not her life is in danger. Because if we're talking about her like crashing into a mountain with hijackers, it's very likely that she won't even be able to provide for herself, meanwhile her own child. So if she is unable to, I don't know about you, but usually we say that maybe you don't agree with this. You think abortion is okay in cases where it directly threatens the mother's life. I don't know. We're getting into that conversation. I don't know, Tyler. Some people don't think so. I've met pro-lifers who don't even.
No, I was laughing at the comments. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you're good. I've met pro-lifers who don't think you should be able to. I've met pro-lifers who don't think you should be able to remove ectopic pregnancy. So I have no idea where you're at. I don't think that's where you're at. But I think that what I was talking about is that if the mother's life is in danger, I don't think that we should legally obligate her to provide.
No, just
like,
what I
breast
gave you.
milk
Just
to
the
her child.
scenario that I gave you.
Sure, no.
I gave you.
No, because it's likely that because she was just had in a plane crash with no food available for herself, I think it would be unreasonable to expect that she would even be able to provide breast milk for her child if
Well,
she's
she
not
is
getting the proper
hold on.
sustenance.
So she is lactating. She is able to do it. So you
She
think
is
that she
able to do
shouldn't-
it. Does she have the resources in order to like feed herself, provide for herself?
Well, they ate previously, right?
Okay, fine,
they
okay.
A newborn has to eat like every 1 to 3 hours, right? So they have
Yeah.
to eat frequently, more frequently than you or I, especially me. I'm a big boy, right?
Sure.
So okay. So should she be legally permitted to not give up her breast milk to her kid, and then her kid starves?
I would say no, and the reason was because I would make the distinction between the biological and custodial relationship. However, let me say I'm not even talking about legally. I'm talking about just having guardianship over a child. Let's say that
I'm
you were
speaking
never
legally.
Well, then I would say no, because I don't believe that she would have custody. I don't believe she would have a custodial to that child.
What are you talking about?
No, because I no, yes, wait, I totally messed up. I was talking about pregnancy initially. I'm talking about in this scenario, yes, because that she has custody over that child. So yes.
Okay, so yes, she should have to sacrifice her bodily resources for her child because she has legal guardianship.
For breast milk, yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. All right. So then when it comes to like a blood transfusion, you said that was unreasonable. So I'm sacrificing my bodily resources. Let's say it's just a vial of blood. So I can do that and it's going to save their life, or I can just say, you know what, I'm not going to give them a vial of my blood. It's just my inconvenience for, I don't know, the 20
Oh wait,
seconds.
I think
that
I
have to do
totally
it.
Did I say that it was
So
unreasonable
how is that?
for her to have that?
You said it was unreasonable to have to give up the blood transfusion. Yes.
Oh, then I misspoke. I think it should be fine. I also think a kidney would be unreasonable.
Unreasonable or reasonable?
Reasonable under that logic. Why
Okay,
do
so
you
you-
think it's different? I want to know the distinction for you. Why it would be unreasonable to give up a kidney, but not a blood transfusion, and how a kidney differs from a uterus in that usability or
Well,
importance.
Sure. So if we're talking about, I don't know, certain organs that you'd have to give up and then you could never get back, especially, I don't know. I don't find that. I don't know how someone would argue to me that it is reasonable, right? Because
No,
we
I'm
could
asking
go
you.
down. No, I understand. So I don't know how someone would say that it is reasonable. I'm trying to think like how it could be reasonable, right?
I
So
agree with you.
Okay,
That's
so hold
why.
on. I'm thinking this out while I'm responding to you, right? So there's got to be some type of, I don't know, some type of threshold of what we believe reasonability is, because then you could say, okay, well, should you be able to give up, part of your liver? You know what I mean? Should you be able to give up like an arm or a leg or whatever? So we would, I don't know. What do you think makes it reasonable or unreasonable? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So when we're having this discussion, I would
Maybe
just say,
convenience. Maybe that could be something. I mean, it's
Wait,
not.
wait,
It's
convenience.
fairly convenient. I'm saying maybe, right? So, like when we're talking about a blood transfusion, the only thing really is that it's inconvenient. When you talked about giving a breast milk, the only thing is that it's really just inconvenient. So, I mean, do you find there to be more inconvenience when it comes to like giving up a kidney?
well, sure, but then we could have the whole argument. Then it would be inconvenient to give up a uterus for
Not
9
if
months
you-
to sustain
not
that
if you
child.
not if you force them to become dependent on your body. No.
Well, then if you force someone to be dependent on your body and require a kidney, but you're saying no.
Sure. That's fine. But that wasn't what we were just talking about. So if you force someone to become dependent on your body and they need a kidney, right? So you force someone to become dependent on your body. We got
Yes.
that right.
Yes.
Okay. So they will die without you, and you
Yes,
force them there.
correct.
Okay. They will die without this kidney.
Yes.
Okay. So if they die, you get charged for murder. But if you give up your kidney, then you're not charged for murder. I think that's fine.
But the reason you're being charged is because you put them in that state of dependence, not because you refused them.
No, the reason
the
you're
use of
being
your kidney.
no, the reason you're being charged is because they died due to your action.
Due to your action and the act.
Yes,
and
they
yes.
wouldn't have died. Yes, they wouldn't have died if you had just sacrificed your bodily autonomy or sacrificed your whatever. Sure.
Yes. So
Sure.
you're being punished for hitting
For killing them. You're being punished for killing them.
And the action that killed them, in the sense of the kidney scenario. Well, no, the action that killed them, and let's say you're hooked up to this person, would be removing your kidney from them, right?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Removing your support. You're connected to their kidneys.
Yeah, to make it really analogous, like we were talking about, like pregnancy, you would kind of have to say, okay, so then you caused this accident or whatever, and they're whatever, and
Yeah.
then they're unconscious or they had no say, and then you just chose to hook them up to your body, and now they need you, and then you say, okay, well, I want to go ahead and sever this connection, right?
Yeah.
that would be more analogous.
True. Yeah. So do you believe that you should be required by the government to stay hooked up to that person?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If you were in an accident, Oliver. So hold on, I don't know how you don't agree with me here. So if you were in an accident,
I don't understand how this fits into your logic as like more of a
hold on,
conservative libertarian.
So Sanvi, so hold on. So let's say that Sanvi, that I caused an accident, like completely my fault, 1000%, and Sanvi is unconscious, right? And then I go up there, and let's just say it's fucking Future or whatever. I go up there and I somehow hook a cable up to her body and force her to become dependent on me for survival, right? Then I no longer, at some point, whatever the reason is, I no longer want her attached to my body, but I know that if I disconnect, that she will die. Absolutely. If I should not be permitted to, legally speaking, to allow her or to disconnect if it's going to cause her death. I forced her to be dependent on my body. I don't know what you don't agree with.
Well, I'm just understanding how this would fit into your framework.
Well, do you agree? Do you
of
agree with what I said?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I just don't see how this is relevant to the idea of
Okay,
pregnancy.
so hold on. So wait. Oliver. So then you should
so
just agree with
confused
my
what you're at
premise.
here.
You should just
What
agree with my
premise?
Oliver, if anybody forces another person to be dependent on their body, should they be able to sever that connection?
It depends. Wait,
If it
and
kills
this is where we go back to this whole idea of whether or not it is better or not that the fetus exists.
I already told you that it doesn't matter. That better
Yes,
off
it
doesn't.
does.
You actually hold on. Didn't you actually concede on that and say, okay, that makes sense?
No, I was just going along. I said to you, is it better off whether or not it existed or not? Because if we agree that given that the fetus exists, it has needs, therefore, does the mother have a responsibility to allow it the use of her body? I'm so confused at this point. I don't even know where you're getting at.
It's all
Tyler.
it's it's okay. All right, so we can go ahead and move on because we're kind of just going in circles. We talked about this a couple of times. From my stance, and it sounds like you kind of agree with me now that I'm like at the end of it. You do believe, generally speaking, forget about the better off. I'll get into that in just a second. But you believe that someone should not be able to force someone to become dependent on their body and then kill them in the general sense. In the general sense, you believe that, right?
Sure, if that action that you took to
I
put them in the
understand.
state of dependency was inherently immoral. I don't believe sex is inherently immoral.
Well, no, that doesn't matter because I gave you.
Yes,
I
it
gave
does.
It doesn't, because if you're saying, well, then that thing that you just did was inherently immoral. I already gave you that.
What action? What action? put the
Oliver,
fetus in
let
state
me
of
fucking
dependency?
reply, buddy. So when I gave you that scenario when the father and the son were in the mountain and then you were scaling up the wall, you said, "Oh, well, no, you shouldn't be able to do it there." That's not immoral. It wasn't immoral to put him on his back.
Wait, yes, because by putting them, you have increased the dependency. He was not previously dependent, and now he is dependent.
But Oliver, now you're switching up arguments. You're
No,
literally
I'm not.
pivoting. You're literally pivoting. What you just said was because if it is inherently immoral, right? So
Wait,
putting
the act
a
of
child,
sex is
hold
not
on.
immoral.
I understand that. So putting a child on a father's back is also not inherently immoral.
I agree with that, and dropping him would be.
Okay,
What's
so
the
what
whole-
you're okay, so then you just conceded your point. It has nothing to do with it. Like, I don't know what you're like. Do you not
in
understand?
order to say that it is wrong for the government to in order for it to say that abortion would be wrong, the action that put the fetus in a state of dependency would have to necessarily be wrong. I don't see what you're not understanding here. This is the whole idea
No, it
of
wouldn't.
Tyler. I have no idea how you're not understanding.
No. If you're talking about sex, that doesn't actually matter. The only thing that matters is through your effort, you force someone to be dependent on your body. Oliver, if I push a button and I know that it's going to force someone to be dependent on my body, pushing a button isn't inherently immoral, correct?
Sorry, you cut out. What did you say?
So if there's a button and I push a button and it's going to force someone to become dependent on my body, pushing a button is not inherently immoral. Do you agree?
Sure. I don't know what you're getting at.
Okay, so if I put so
I have no idea
you
where
don't
this is going.
you
Tyler.
don't get what I'm
No,
getting?
I don't. I don't even
if
see how
press,
this is relevant.
So okay, so if I press that
Sorry,
button,
I don't know. It
and
might be
there-
my internet. You
if
might
I
be breaking
press,
up.
I don't know. It's Sanvi. Am I breaking up? Because I'm good on my side. You're muted.
All right, I
can't
think you're
hear what
fine.
saying.
I can hear you now. It's probably me. It's probably my internet because I'm running like five
it's
things.
you.
I can hear you.
Okay, so you were saying that it would have to be inherently immoral, right? And I'm telling you that it doesn't actually matter if it's inherently immoral or not, right? So when I said that if there was a button and I pressed a button, which is not inherently immoral, and someone was forced to become dependent on my body, should I be able to kill them now?
Should I be able to kill them because you pushed a button that caused them to be dependent on you?
Correct. They are dependent on my body. They would not have been dependent on me otherwise, but I chose to press the button.
Chose to press the button. Sure, I don't think you should be able to disconnect from them.
Why? That action
Wait, legally,
wasn't inherently immoral.
legally or morally?
That action wasn't inherently immoral.
Legally or morally? That's the question.
Legally, we're talking about in the aspect.
Oh, legally,
of,
then I don't think that legally you should be obligated by the law. But morally, sure. The same way I think it would be immoral to deny a person the right to your kidneys after you hit them with your car, but I don't believe the government should require you to use your kidneys to sustain their life. This is not that complicated.
Wait. Can you just clarify your position here? So what you said is, are you saying that you should or shouldn't be legally permitted to kill them?
Legally permitted to kill? In which example? Pushing a button that caused them to be dependent on you?
Yeah, they're dependent on my body. They wouldn't have been dependent on me otherwise. Can I kill them?
Well, no, you can't because they existed previous to your before you making them dependent. If they never existed, and suddenly they came into existence connected to your body, then I would say no. You would not be wrong.
It would not be wrong.
No, to disconnect yourself. They were never better off without that. You are not depriving them of anything.
Okay, so if you could create human beings, all right. So if you could create human beings just by pressing this button, right? So you press this button, it'll create a human being that's completely dependent on your body for survival. You should be able to kill that human being, even though you didn't have to press that button, but you chose to press it anyway.
If it was never dependent on you, if it was never existed prior to that or had any other experience, then no, yeah, I don't care.
That's a meme right there. Okay, so all right, so I'm good. Yeah, I think that I'm good on my man. I think I understand your position.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what to say past that. Sanvi, I'm sorry I was taking up so much.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I know Oliver is about to go, but if you could give Sanvi just like a couple of questions, I'm sure she's been itching to ask you a couple of
Yeah,
questions.
totally. That's fine.
Yeah, okay, Oliver, I guess the first thing I just heard right now, what's this dichotomy you're drawing between laws and morality? Like, what do you think laws are?
Sure. There are certain things that you may believe to be immoral, but you don't believe should be illegal. For example, I think adultery is immoral. I don't think you should cheat on your spouse or partner. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think that the government should outlaw it. So
Wait,
yeah.
so you don't believe in like objective moral truth, then I presume, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so then we're not going to get in with that. But I had a question about potentiality then with the impairment argument. So do you think that women should be able to drink during pregnancy?
To be able to drink during pregnancy.
And produce like a deformed baby, for example.
Produce a deformed baby? So this is the whole argument of like taking some sort of like, whether it be drinking or taking medication that would cause a fetus to have like potential ailments afterwards.
We could say they did it on purpose. Sure, yeah. She wanted to have a deformed baby. Do you think that should be allowed?
She wanted to have a deformed baby. I mean, I think that's inherently, more. No, I don't believe that should be the case. Because you are currently.
Hold on. So wait. A woman finds out she's pregnant at, let's say, around 8 weeks, right? At 8 weeks, you've already stated multiple times you don't grant something moral consideration.
No, I don't.
Right?
At that point,
so why do you care? So why do you care if she drinks at 8 weeks? No. The only way you could say you care if she drinks at 8 weeks if you concede to potentiality, and you already said you don't care about potentiality in any cases.
Wait, I never said I cared about the potentiality of granting something rights in the future that it otherwise would not have now.
Wait, no, that I agree. That's not what you said. You don't care about potentiality at all. That's literally what you said. We can play the clip.
I never said that I totally don't care about. And if I did that, wait, I agree. Fine. Wait,
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to double team.
You're right. I'm acknowledging that. I said I don't care about potentiality at all. I think potentiality is relevant in certain circumstances, absolutely, but we shouldn't be granting things rights based off of what they have not currently obtained. The reason that you should not drink is because it is currently harming an entity.
Oh, okay. Wait. So first of all, the reason that we currently shouldn't drink is because it's harming an entity, right? Why should I care about harming an entity that doesn't have moral value?
Sure. Wait, I agree with you. What are you talking about?
Wait. Oliver. You're saying at 8 weeks, you would say that a fetus doesn't have moral value. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this woman knows she's pregnant. Can she drink at 8 weeks for the sole purpose of producing a deformed baby?
I think that's inherently immoral. I don't know about legal punishment, though.
Oh, okay. So you think it should be legal, right, to produce these deformed babies, essentially?
I mean, I'm not sure exactly how the law would work in that sense, but sure, I don't know. I'm not a legal expert on that. I don't know exactly what.
Nobody's saying you are, right?
I ascribe to a different moral framework than you do. It depends on whether or not we should create things. We should create laws that are based off of whether or not it would like produce a different outcome.
Under your moral framework, I don't care about laws now. Under your moral framework, is it moral, right, for a woman to drink during pregnancy when she knows she's pregnant in order to produce a deformed baby? I think that you have to hold the position that it is moral, because if something doesn't have moral consideration, then you should be able to do whatever you want to it, right? Like, I don't ascribe moral consideration to like a grasshopper. I can go step on it. I can do whatever I want to it. It has the same logic you use with an 8-week fetus. So unless you have some sort of other thing for impairment, you have to concede that potentiality matters.
Is he frozen?
That's an egg.
Yo, Oliver, did you dip? Did you dip? Did you hit that freeze frame? My man said, Ma, cut the Wi-Fi out real quick. Cut the Wi-Fi. Yo. My man unplugged that Ethernet so quick. Yeah, I think he dipped.
No, I was just like, okay, because he said potentiality mattered in like no circumstances, right? He said we shouldn't be granting things based on their potentiality. He said that verbatim, actually, because I remember I wrote it down. And then he uses this whole thing with alcohol. Okay, so if nothing else, at least he can concede that potentiality matters in some cases. That's all I had to do. Contradiction. I'm done.
No, I think that was great. I think that was a huge fucking W. I mean, but I think that he already understood that potentiality obviously matters in certain circumstances. I mean, just
Right.
because something has the potential of something happening doesn't mean that that action should be permitted, right?
Right, and I was
So,
gonna ask him, about like potential liability, like if a soccer player is about to go out and make $3 million off this game, and you like kick him in the foot before and he can't play. Besides being also liable for those damages, I think you should also be liable for those like potential damages, right? Like for
Dylan,
liability.
agreed. I appreciate the W for Tyler, but she just did this shit in like fucking like 45 seconds. Can you give a W for Sanvi, man? Can you give a W for Sanvi? Come on. Yeah. So yeah. But then of course that he's just like, well, all right, forget about that point. I mean, it seems like he conceded on like multiple points. It's all
yeah,
good.
I mean, I'm just gonna go back and play the clip where he said potential doesn't matter, and then where
you know what's great? You know what's great about your whole thing too, is that you don't even have to chop up with all the unnecessary shit in the beginning. Like the whole thing was like under 3 minutes, which you can just post right there on TikTok. That's crazy. Oh wait, hold on, I got you. Where is it? Bam, Sanvi, big W. Wild.
He
wild.
left.
Yeah, that was wild. That was a really good way that you put that too. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good like impairment argument, for people who don't think potential matters.
You usually don't run like I've never run into anybody who would say that like potential doesn't really matter. Not that way. I mean, I guess Destiny like kind of touched on it, but not the way that Oliver is saying it. Like Oliver's just saying, well, potentiality just doesn't matter, right? Because even Destiny would say like, oh, well, if you have the potential to have consciousness in the future, if you're under general anesthesia, obviously that matters, which we could say that too. You have the potential of regaining consciousness. So
and
clearly potential.
I wanted him to lay out very clearly at the beginning, like when he ascribes moral consideration to a fetus, because I still don't know his position, right? Is it birth, maybe?
L.
Is it the 3rd trimester? Like, when does he... I don't know.
Yeah, so he has... I think that he understood, especially out of the amount of videos, maybe he saw what you've been saying, maybe he saw what I said, maybe he saw what another streamer has said or another person on social media. But I think that he can't say, all right, well, I can't just say it's a person no matter what anyway, because if they do go ahead and trash this bodily autonomy argument, I gotta fall back on something.
Wait, I don't get why people are saying, oh, though, because at the very least, you have to admit...
It's Oliver's followers.
No, I understand that, but even when I follow someone, I can admit they're wrong, right? Like, there's a clip of him saying potentiality is a stupid concept and doesn't matter, and then there's a clip of him saying that we can concede potentiality matters in certain aspects. So, like, you gotta like pick, right?
Yeah, no, it's all good. Like, you have to expect that, right? So it doesn't even matter, like, especially like back in my glory days when I had 700,000 followers as well. Like, I mean, I believe I'm right, of course, but it doesn't even matter. They're going to always say, like, your fans are always going to say W. They don't want to concede, right? So they just want to go ahead and say that. Same thing with, like, if Destiny got destroyed, let's say that, like, it was irrefutable, that he got fucking annihilated, objectively. Annihilated, you would still see, I mean, he's got 350K on YouTube, you still see everyone there, win for Destiny.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I think
matter.
Destiny could probably verbally concede, and his followers would be like, W for Destiny, destroying everybody.
Exactly. Right. They wouldn't even watch the video. Of him conceding and say, you know what, I give up.
I don't think a lot of them do.
They would just say, damn, Destiny really trashed him. Yo, Oliver's back.
Okay.
Hey, Tyler, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm on my...
Yeah, I was fucking with you by saying that, like, I was just making fun of you.
I didn't hear anything, so I don't even know what you said.
I was saying that you disconnected the internet on purpose because you got owned.
I actually have an issue because my router is like at the other end of the house. And
dude, I believe you.
Sanvi, actually, because I didn't want, the worst thing I would want is to feel like I ran away from the point.
Oh, no,
100%. I want to address this potentiality argument because I want to address this because Tyler, I know you like to do this and you're probably going to do it. And I just want to make it clear. I acknowledge. I think you're probably going to clip he doesn't believe in potentiality, and then go to the whole part of he's addressing potentiality.
Oliver,
I don't think potentiality. I don't think potentiality.
Hold on. He was addressing me. Can I say one thing first?
Yeah.
So one thing I don't think you got to worry about me clipping anything. I think that you got to worry about Sanvi is going to go ahead and clip that motherfucker and put that on her thing. I got plenty of other shit that I could clip. Go ahead.
No, I want to adjust this one. I want to adjust the point of potentiality. I did say that I don't care about potentiality at all, and I misspoke. Obviously, yes, I do think potentiality does matter, but we're talking about potentiality in granting something rights. Why I'm worried about a woman drinking when it comes down to during her pregnancy is because she is taking an action that will harm at some point a conscious agent that does exist. In that scenario, yes, I absolutely do believe the potentiality does have value. However, when we're looking at whether or not an entity should have rights currently or given moral consideration, the reasoning, I don't care that currently she's drinking and it's harming the 8-week embryo or fetus. It's because she's drinking and that will cause the eventual conscious being to be harmed and worse off. So when I'm talking about this, when it comes to rights, this argument would be potentially, do you think that we should grant a fetus the right to vote at
Okay, yeah, again,
birth?
my argument with rights, I kind of went into it a little bit, has to do with more like human substance and substance ontology. Like I think a fetus, is a part of the human substance. For a zygote to have its like full potential, it would be to be what you would consider like one of us, right? Like the same way like a newborn, for example, is going to achieve maybe its full potential as a being when it's 30, 35, right? I think to cut off that process of development would be limiting something's capacity. So that's where I stand on the issue of rights. Now to get into the whole it will harm a conscious agent thing, right?
Sure.
I mean, I'm glad you conceded that potentiality matters in certain circumstances because I agree that like current capacity matters in circumstances. When you have the current capacity to drink with your rationality, that's when you should be able to drink. That be at 21, right?
Correct.
So I want you to lay out your abortion position really quick because I still don't know where you stand. Like, what about people in comas? They don't have the current capacity. Yeah.
So when we're talking about, I'm talking about like specifically the human brain. The brain, in a sense, is what defines the value within, I would say, what distinguishes humans from other forms of life on this earth. The human brain, it is able, it has the processes to think.
Okay, a zygote has a brain.
Have the what?
A zygote has a brain.
Does not have a brain.
Yes, it actually does. You can look up the single-celled organism's brain. I'll look it up for you right now. I'll link you a study. Hold up.
It doesn't have a brain, nor is it able to perceive it. Wait.
Hold on. So first of all, the nucleus in the zygote actually acts as its brain. Like that's what it is for every single functional human. That's why we say it's a part of the human substance. So look up just the nucleus and the zygote and their relationship and how it acts as a brain, right?
So, okay, fine. Then do you think that a fetus should have all the same rights to conception that you and I have?
I don't know what you mean, like all of the same rights, like right?
Wait, yeah.
That's why.
Do you believe it should have all the same protections as you and me? That's why wouldn't it, under your logic?
Hold on. That's what I said. That current capacity is going to matter in circumstances with rationality, right? Do I think a newborn should be able to go live by themselves? No, because they don't have the rationality to be able to do so, right? That's when we get into like parental negligence. And what are you saying?
Nothing. So then what defines whether or not an entity should have should have value? Why should we value a fetus at conception? Like what does it currently possess that grants it value? If you say current capacity,
that's it.
So wait, why does that capacity or potentiality? Why does the potentiality not exist prior to conception?
Like an egg.
Wait, prior to conception, there's still the potentiality for that organism to be conceived and then have the capacity to do those. I knew you were going to say this, and that's what I was trying to say, right? That's why we wouldn't assign moral value to an egg, because an egg's only capacity is to pass through the mother's body. In order for a zygote to form, an egg has to hit a sperm, and that is a new substance. That's why I said substance capacity, right? But why is substance capacity relevant?
Well, because when we're assigning capacity to things, I think that we should look at things that would be most logically consistent to look at things that are in and of itself of each other's substance. So what this means, you have the capacity to go shoot someone right now. Why am I not going to arrest you? Because you are not actualizing that capacity. From the moment of conception, that capacity is being actualized. Now, if you go get a gun, pick it up.
It's not being actualized. Hold on. The fetus is not actualizing its capacity for rational thinking.
Oh, 100% it is. Even a newborn is. You are right now.
Wait, no, it's not. At conception, it's not. Are you telling me that a fetus at conception is actualizing
Oliver, every single being until they die, 1 second before they die, are actualizing capacity. You realize that, right?
When do they die?
I'm like, if I went to go shoot you in the head, you'd be dead, right?
But organisms are assigned death at brain death. when their brain no longer functions.
I'm not sure what you mean that, because you're
What do
just
you
kind of
mean,
appealing
legally?
to a legal definition, because I
Wait, no,
already
no.
explained why it's a
Wait,
life.
wait, no. All I'm saying is, do you believe an entity should have value post brain death?
If it's gonna not come back from brain death, which is most of the cases, then they are dead.
Wait, but
Yes.
why does it matter though? Because it's still
Wait,
the
no,
cells are still
hold on, Oliver.
reproducing.
If somebody was gonna come back from brain dead, I would obviously value them, but that's what I'm saying. Most people don't.
But you don't value them because you only value the
No, I
conscious
don't value
experience
them
of that
because their
organism.
capacity has ended, Oliver. I don't value them because there is no potentiality in the future.
that's
That's
the whole
why we don't value
potentiality-
dead people.
But that's the whole potentiality argument from beginning. Then why don't you value? Because there's still the potentiality of an egg and sperm from meeting and therefore creating
I
that
just said
entity.
that's a substance argument. That's not essential from what you're addressing now. But
But you
regardless
said
of that,
potentiality is your argument.
yeah, that's I said we assign that to what?
But why
Did
should
you
we assign
listen?
that? But why should we assign that to
You
specifically
literally
just
just
humans?
asked me
Hold on,
this.
Sanvi, let him ask his question.
Wait, so is a sperm and an egg not part of the human substance?
A sperm and an egg meeting are a zygote, and that is a human
Wait,
substance.
but
Yes.
then there's the potentiality for that to happen. Why shouldn't
Wait,
we
no,
value that
Hold on.
potentiality?
I was very clear with this. An egg's full capacity, Oliver, and listen to me. The purpose of an egg, its goal, its full capacity is to pass through in an ovulation cycle of the mother, right? And that egg meeting a sperm is no longer an egg. You are talking about a zygote. You are talking about a
Yes.
human substance.
It has the potential to become a
Exactly.
zygote.
So you're saying, hold on. You're saying an egg has the potential to become a human substance. Why don't I value an egg? Because it's
Yes.
not that human substance, right? When it becomes that human substance, it's no longer an egg. That's what you're missing. It is no longer an egg.
Okay, and when it
a
becomes
hydrogen
that,
atom hits an oxygen atom, those two entities become water, and we're valuing that.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you here. What I'm saying is your argument is based off the potentiality that it therefore will gain these characteristics in the future.
Wait, I
Correct?
don't know what characteristics you're talking about, because I never even
Wait, so
ascribed moral characteristics. I think
so
you
don't-
did.
So I'm really confused then. Do you just think that at conception it's valuable no matter what happens in the future?
What do you mean? Like there's certain, at conception they have genetic defects, and no matter what you do, they're not going to be able to actualize, right? They're not potent. So, I mean, I don't know what you're
Okay.
trying to say.
So then I'm curious here, because this kind of comes down to, I guess, a little bit of a bodily autonomy argument, because there is this argument over miscarriage, and miscarriage is, I'm going to go through my data plan so quick, whatever, regardless, this is fun. When we're talking specifically about the argument of pregnancy and miscarriage, there are multiple things we can talk about. We could talk about the fact that, let's hypothetically say that there was some operation that women could get that would lessen the chance of miscarriage or ensure that every single fertilized embryo would implant on the uterine lining. Do you believe that should be required? Do you believe that should be forced or not?
Again, like I said, I start valuing things at conception. I'm not going to value a pre something, right?
No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying that you would get an operation that would make it so that these fertilized eggs, because 50% of fertilized eggs don't implant in utero.
It's over 70.
Well, yeah, or something like that. So therefore, should women be
Like
required?
conflation.
No. Should women be required to have a procedure so that, let's hypothetically say that women could get a procedure that makes it so 100% of fertilized eggs implant in the uterus?
Oliver,
Would you be in favor of that?
I am not caring what happens to an egg. She can freeze her egg.
No,
she
not
can
an egg.
sell
It's
her
a
egg.
fertilized embryo. It's a fertilized embryo.
Okay, so what are you saying?
I'm saying that 50 to 80% or whatever number you were saying, 70%, or 50% of fertilized eggs don't implant. Let's hypothetically say that there was.
No, that's not what I was saying, Oliver. I was saying from the moment of conception, those
Correct.
beings that are created are genetically defected to where they're not gonna.
No.
The woman may not even know she's pregnant,
I'm
right?
talking
Because
about
it's just
something
gonna pass
totally
through
different.
her.
Totally
Yeah,
different.
I know, but so you misunderstood what I was referring to.
No, I'm just referring. I'm asking you a question. If at conception it is a valuable entity, and therefore, do you believe that women, if there was, this doesn't exist, but let's say that there was a procedure that women could get that would lessen the chance of miscarriage, or let's say down to 0%, or it would 100% ensure that the fetus, that the embryo would implant on the uterine lining. Do you believe the government should mandate that? Because otherwise, then we're discarding human life, right?
Wait. I don't think that it should be mandated. This is just a simple thing of risk. Like, do I think parents should not take their kid outside because there's a % possibility that something could happen to them? No, right? Like that doesn't mean that a parent can actively harm their kid, because that would be an act of negligence. That's
and if
all
you're not
I'm saying,
taking
Oliver,
an
is that
action to
parent
save
could
your child's
harm
life,
it. Wait. Okay, so if no, hold on, Oliver. So if you're saying outside, there's like lava outside, and that parent sends their kid outside, yeah, I would consider that an act
let's
of
say that
negligence.
okay, fine. Let's say that there's lava outside and the parent doesn't let their kid in the house. Would that be an
Wait.
act
So
of
the
negligence?
kid's like already drowning in lava and
No,
dead?
let's say the kid is outside and there's lava coming. I don't understand this logic, but let's just go off of it. Let's say that there's lava coming at the kid and you don't let your kid in the house. Would that be, do you think that would be
An act of
negligence or murder?
negligence? Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, then I want to lay this out. There is an operate. I don't know why you're not understanding this. There is an operation
No,
that a
I'm not.
woman can get to ensure that every single fertilized embryo she ever has implants in utero. Should the government require her to get that surgery so that every single embryo, because it is valuable human life that you value due to capacity, implants in the uterine lining?
Not unless that embryo already has some sort of precondition that can be saved, right? I think you're kind of assuming it doesn't. Saying, should we take this precaution? That's what you're
50%
saying.
don't. Yeah,
No,
50%
Oliver,
of the embryos don't.
Oliver,
Let's make it
what you're
100%.
saying- Oliver, what you're saying is, should we take this precaution, essentially, right?
To save human life, yes. I'm using
Yeah.
your logic.
Wait, exactly. You're not saying that the human life is in danger already. I think that we should only act,
yes,
not
it is.
preventatively, but in current.
There's a 50% chance that it won't implant. Let's make that 100% under your logic.
Okay. First of all, if it was 100% chance, we would all not exist. But
No,
regardless,
100% chance that it will implant. Every single
that it will
fertilized
implant?
embryo implants.
okay, then it
You-
implants. Like I don't see why
Wait.
you care. I'm saying I assign moral value to things that are at conception, right? And unless these things have some sort of defect, you can't take preventative measures against
Wait, yes,
something
you
you doesn't
can.
even know happened.
I just said there was a procedure. This is why thought experiments exist. Obviously,
Wait,
I'm not
I
saying
don't
that this exists.
understand what you're saying then.
Okay. How many times do I have? Tyler, are you understanding this? I don't know if you are. I just don't know if you're understanding where I'm coming from. Just so, Tyler, do you? I'm just curious if Tyler does.
What are you saying?
So I want to explain.
I was
to Tyler,
trying
just
not. I
maybe-
was trying not to interrupt. so
You're
I was
all
trying
good.
to just let
I
you do your thing.
appreciate it. I was asking her because she's saying that embryos at conception are equally valuable to you and me. So I was saying that.
Wait, whoa. I want to be so clear about this that I never ever made that claim because I think value judgments are first of all subjective, and I just said that I think they should have rights.
Rights, fine, rights.
Yeah, I want to
They
be
should have
very
rights.
clear about that. Yeah.
Good Lord, I don't know. So I guess I'll ask Tyler this question just to see if he understands. If there was a procedure that women could have that would ensure that every single embryo implanted in utero, do you think that the government should force women to get that because otherwise they would be allowing these embryos to pass through and just die that could be prevented? You know what I mean?
So just to be clear, if I'm going to ask a question and then I'll answer it, but I have to clarify something. So just to be clear, if this woman gets this, I mean, if we're thinking about this, because you're talking about what, thousands? What are we talking about?
What do you
here?
mean thousands?
Well, how many embryos are we talking?
Wait, every single embryo she conceives would implant.
Every single embryo she sees, she would
Like-
implant.
like
Would she die from this?
Well, no. Do you if women? There's many times that when you have sex, the woman gets pregnant and the embryo just comes out. It doesn't even attach to the uterine lining. She doesn't even know. So I'm saying that
It doesn't implant. Yeah, I get it. Like
So,
about 50% of whatever ends in
50%.
miscarriage. Yeah,
so,
sure.
so let's say that there was a procedure that could be done that would ensure that every single embryo implanted in the uterine lining. Do you believe that should be did you believe that the government should mandate that to ensure that there's not this discarding of human life that could be prevented?
Should the government mandate that you must save your child?
Oh no, save or have a procedure that would ensure that you wouldn't miscarry. Prevent your child from dying.
Have a procedure that I'm thinking this out loud. This is a good one. This is a good thought experiment. So, okay. Let's look at it from both angles. So, if the government has to force them to get some type of procedure, I'm against the government forcing them to do anything. Just like when I'm talking about giving up a kidney, I don't say that the government is forcing you to hold on. Let me finish. That the government isn't actually forcing you to give up a kidney. The government is just charging you for murder because you did whatever in that thought experiment. So, okay. So then, no, I don't think that the government should just force you to do this. No.
Do you believe that if you don't get the if you don't get this procedure and you end up, an embryo passes through, and somehow they can prove it. I don't know. This is the whole thing with proving it. Like, it's almost impossible.
So
But
yeah, it can't happen. But you're saying in this hypothetical.
Yeah, in this hypothetical, let's say that it would happen. Someone's saying, sorry, I just want to address this comment. Can you tell Oliver to turn his stream back on? My entire internet went down. I'm literally on a hotspot. My internet could cut out again at any moment if I reach my data cap. So I'm just trying to wrap this up. But what I was specifically talking about was, let's say that they would get the procedure, but if they choose not to get the procedure, and an embryo passes through, that would be a preventable death that they chose not to prevent by getting this procedure. Then should they be charged with murder?
Wait, I have a question then, Oliver. Do you think that parents should take every single precaution to like protect their child? Like, for example, many newborns are put in incubators because they have certain defects. Do you think that, if you don't know that these defects exist, that you have to take that precaution?
What do you mean defects? I'm really confused.
Like, for example, when newborns are put in incubators for reasons like some of them are too small to breathe, for example, like they're not fully developed to be able to breathe. If you knew that your like newborn was going to be like that, and if you could have some surgery at like the 3rd trimester to prevent that, do you think they should without knowing the probability at all?
What do you mean without knowing the probability? Well, no,
Okay,
of course not if you don't know the probability. So I'm saying that you do know the probability.
So then this makes this point irrelevant, right? Because I think we should only take precautions when they're reasonable. I don't think it would be reasonable.
This is a thought experiment. I'm
saying
I
don't
would
think
be
that
reasonable.
you can take. Wait. I don't think that you should take every single precaution like out there. Like, should I get a child screened for every single illness? Like, that's literally what you're laying out.
Well, no, that's not exactly what I'm laying out.
What I'm saying is that you can't initiate force against the child. That's it.
Sure. So then, by your logic, you also don't have to take precautionary measures to save your child's life. You brought up a lava scenario. Then sure, maybe your logic would necessitate that you can't push your child out into the lava. But let's say that your child is outside and you refuse to let them in the house.
It would be more that you don't know they're outside. Like, you think they're up in their bedroom. Do you think that you have an obligation to go look outside for them when you already think they're in their bedroom?
Well, wait.
That's the conflation.
But that's not what this is whatsoever at all.
No, it is, Oliver. Because wait, Oliver, if you knew like your child is like in your house dying from cancer and you refuse to take them to the hospital with knowing that fact, I would consider that an act of negligence. Now you're saying if they could get cancer and we took them in order to prevent that, right? What I'm saying is there's no standard of reasonability for that. So no, it's a dumb precaution to take.
This you do know. You're just I don't know if you're ignoring what I said in the thought experiment. You know that this procedure will make it so 100% of embryos implant. We know for a fact that 50% at least don't. These are knowns. These are not unknown.
Oliver, it would have to be a case-by-case scenario because, again, 50% is a risk, right? So if you knew, hold on, I'll put it this way. If you knew that your child was going to have this defect, to not be able to connect to the lining or whatever, not be able to sustain itself, right? If you knew that your specific child had that, right? Somehow you knew that through an ultrasound, yes, I would say you had to. Now, what you're talking about is that if you didn't know and there's this probability of risk, then I would say no.
Okay, so then let's fine. No, we're not fully established, because then we can say that, like, at what standard do you have to do to save your child? Because let's say that you know that, and I think Tyler addressed this debate a few times, or at least this point in a second, that let's say that because there are also certain diets you can go on that will lessen the chance.
I was just going to answer your question just by saying that as well. So if you're saying, so first of all, they wouldn't charge you for not getting this procedure. They would charge you for there'd have to be a multitude of different things lined up. So there would have to be, okay, well, right now it's going to, I don't know, it's not going to be inconvenient. It's not going to do anything. It's just like, look, you can have this procedure or you can not have this procedure. And somehow you'd have to say that you have fucking psychics or something, that you have some kind of psychics that somehow know that you didn't, or that an egg didn't implant, or I'm sorry, that an embryo didn't implant.
We know that there is a 50% chance that embryos won't implant. I'm saying that there is now this procedure that you can take that will make it so 100% of embryos implant. Do you believe that?
So this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. So for one, there would have the procedure would have to just be like right there to where it's be like, okay, so I can go ahead and choose to get this or choose not to get this. And
let's say it's pretty invasive. Let's say it takes like a week. you have to be sitting there. It's like painful.
Okay, well let
me
me finish what I'm saying before you have to add in like extra things because you didn't make your analogy analogous enough.
I don't.
So
I don't think it's relevant.
so what I'm saying is that it would have to be it shouldn't be obtrusive to someone because if you said something like, and we'd have to find out how obtrusive is obtrusive, right? Because if you're saying, oh, well, this person physically can't get to the place to do this fucking thing, so it's like, well, how are we going to say that we should charge them because they just can't get there?
Doesn't that matter? That
does matter.
Wait, but it doesn't matter to you because you think that women shouldn't be able to. Pregnancy itself is obtrusive.
Oliver,
but you don't think people
Oliver.
should be able to get an abortion just to remove that it being obtrusive. Therefore, the fact that it may be obtrusive for them to save their child's life shouldn't matter to you.
Oliver, let's say that this place, there's only one of these places ever in the world, right? Let's say there's one facility. Let's say that it's in like Beijing, and then you have to find a way to get to Beijing. I would say that it is unreasonable to tell people that you have to go to fucking Beijing, find a way to get there, pay for a way to get there, right? Get your pet, do all of these things to get there just to have this procedure. So to say that there's like reasonability doesn't matter is just fucking like retarded.
Yeah, if I may,
Tyler,
Oliver,
can we not
if
use
I
that?
may lay
I use
something
this.
out.
This is my fucking stream. I will say what I want.
Okay, well then I don't want to be participating in a stream if you're going to be using slurs against the disabled community.
I'm not using slurs against the disabled
Wait,
community.
You're
Oliver,
using a slur. You're using a slur.
Oliver,
It's
No, I'm
it's
not.
his stream.
Of me saying like trans people aren't people. So
What?
please.
And what
please.
What did you say?
what's
When did I say trans people aren't people?
Okay, let's do this then.
what's considered
No, we don't have to
disabled
do that.
anyway? Is ADHD disabled?
I don't know, man. I'm not in the disabled community, so I can't.
I have
say.
ADHD,
Wait,
so if
Sanvi,
if
Sanvi.
ADHD is disabled,
Yes.
then I can say
Sanvi,
retarded.
Yes,
Sanvi, I
I'll
want-
screen share. Hold on, let me send
No,
it to
you
my
don't have to-
computer.
Wait, Sanvi, I've done things in the past that I've admitted were wrong. Is it possible that I said things in my past that weren't?
Oliver,
Wait,
ADHD is neurodivergency. The R slur refers specifically to people with neurodivergency. ADHD is a neurodivergency. Blah, blah, blah. Let's move on.
Okay.
So hold on. So I could say that then I qualify.
Yeah,
Can-
you're fine. Like no.
Okay. So
All right.
if Sanvi is right, then that means that I can say it because I have ADHD, so I can say retarded. Just like
Okay.
if I'm black, I can say the N word.
Sure.
Right?
And if I don't want to be in that environment, then I don't have to, right?
No, that's fine. But like I have that privilege.
Wait,
True,
Oliver, why
100%.
are you
And me-
uncomfortable with
and me-
black
and
people
me-
reclaiming slurs?
Wait, I have no problem with him reclaiming his slur. I also have a brother with Down syndrome. Okay, so I don't see this. This just doesn't seem productive anymore. I would prefer not to be.
You
involved
brought
in
it
this.
up. I didn't. It wasn't an issue until you brought it up.
Wait, you said the word, and I take issue with it. Okay, I'm sorry that you have
Oliver,
a problem
he's
with that.
neurodivergent.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't
That's
matter.
fine.
I don't care if you take an issue with it. I
Okay,
don't care.
then that's fine. Okay, so then I'm okay. I don't know, Tyler. Okay,
Well, anyway, did you guys get past your whole lava thing?
Wait, yeah. Oh, wait, I just
Because
wanted
we've been
to
on
say-
here for like 2 hours now.
Yeah, I
we've
just
been on
want to
here
say
forever.
something really quick. So I think the way that I'm gonna just approach this, like if you knew your 2-year-old child was going to have cancer and you could take this preventative measure and you choose not to take this preventative measure, right? Like if you knew this medicine, if you gave it right now, not later, would eventually save your child's life. If you knew this information and did not take that precaution, I would say so. But what you're outlining here is just some sort of weird like probability where you don't know.
Don't
so
you
I
think probability
that,
matters?
Wait. Oh, absolutely. Like if in that case, Oliver, 0.001% have this outrageous disease that I'm gonna have to go
I'm not talking
like
about
get screened
50%.
for.
50% do.
Wait, no,
50%
you
of
just
embryos
asked
don't
me if,
implant.
wait, you just asked me if probability matters, so I'm like
Wait,
giving
it does
you an answer.
matter. So then if it's not even probability at this point because 100% of embryos would implant. It would solve the entire probability.
I don't
If
like,
if I would answer you, I would actually disagree with Sanvi. I would actually say sure, but like to make it, because like I said, there would have to be so many levels to where it would have to be like obviously it can't be just one facility in Beijing. Like
sure,
you agreed, right?
let's
hold on.
assume it's widely accessible.
I'm gonna make it like really easy. So like I love just saying like if there's a button that you could press, right? So if there's just like a button that's in my house that I can press and I choose not to press it, but if I do press it, all of them implant, and if I don't press it, 50% of them implant. Can we say that? Does that align with what you're saying?
I mean, it would be more of the fact that we're talking about an intrusive medical procedure that a woman would have to get in order to decrease the likelihood of her of implantation or make implantation.
Well, how is it intrusive?
Well, that's fine. I can add that scenario. Let's say that it's like a week-long procedure that she would have to go through, or like what level of
Yeah, we already had that conversation, right? Because you and I both agreed that a blood transfusion isn't that intrusive, and a parent should be able to do that or have to do that.
Well, Sure. But
yeah, so
but
we'd have to like argue on exactly like how far is intrusive. I find that that's just going to be, you know what I'm saying?
Sure,
like that
and
would just-
sure in a sense. So then all I'm saying is I think there are some serious issues when it comes down to like addressing personhood at conception. I just want to. This is just a fun little tidbit I like to do.
Yeah.
I don't really mean for it to be anything. It comes down to this idea of, can a pregnant woman be arrested? Have you heard this? Have you heard this, Tyler? I don't know if you've heard it. It's basically this idea that that if we were to grant a fetus like the right to life and the right to things in the Constitution, it would also have the right to due process. I mean, I don't know
Right.
why you would deny it. Therefore, can you arrest a pregnant woman when by default you are arresting an innocent human being with the right to due process? I don't know.
Do you want me to take that, Sanvi, or do you want to answer?
I mean, yeah, I can take it because it's kind of similar to when we have like pregnant people in jail, right? There's actually a due process for that. We just have obviously the innocent like fetus be able to give birth, and then we just have the person still be in jail or released depending on like the crime, of course. But for can a pregnant woman be arrested? If you're talking specifically about like purposely miscarrying your child or giving it an abortion, is that what you're referring to?
No. I'm just saying that if a fetus has the right to due process by arresting a pregnant woman or jailing a pregnant woman, rather putting a pregnant woman in jail, you would be violating the due process rights of the fetus because you would be incarcerating an innocent human being, right?
Well, the only thing that if you would be violating the rights of the fetus, that would mean you're like depriving the mother of food or water or something else to sustain the fetus.
Not
because
necessarily.
Because the fetus is already forced into a state of dependency. There's no way around it. If I were to shrink you to be this big and put you in someone's pocket and that person gets arrested, right? Like you're dependent on them, right? That's what that doesn't like.
And you'd still be violating my right to due process.
I don't see how you have a right to due process when you didn't arrested for anything. Like what?
Wait, that's my point. Is if the fetus is innocent and you're arresting a pregnant woman who has a fetus inside
and we're
of her,
allowing the fetus to actualize its potential when it's born and just pull it out.
But it's still incarcerated without due process.
Wait. So what does it mean to be incarcerated to you? Because if the fetus is still getting food, water, it's still being sustained. What is the incarceration?
Legally, it's incarcerated. It is being arrested and
you're
incarcerated
appealing to a legal term?
Without due process. Wait, it's just an example to show that if you were to arrest a pregnant woman, you would be arresting a fetus.
I wouldn't say you'd be incarcerating the fetus if it's given that it's still had.
Can I respond?
Wait. So location? Are you talking about location?
Wait, it's still in jail though, right?
Wait, I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about location? Are you talking about the way it's going to perceive its arrest? Like you have to be clear here.
Here, 1 second. My mic and like my headphone cord are tangled. I'm just going to disconnect for 1 second. I think it muted me. We're back now? Sorry. All good.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on a different mic.
It does?
Oh no,
No,
now it's good.
fine.
Now it's good.
Okay, I think it might have went to my camera thing. All right, good. We're back. Sorry. Yeah. So it's just to consider. Should we give a fetus all of its rights at conception? This was something that Tyler brought up that I think was interesting because this is one of the videos we actually never got through the full video, which is totally fine. The question comes down to whether or not, because at least I thought it was a little bit of an is-ought fallacy for you to say no, we give citizenship at birth. But the question is, why is citizenship at birth? Should citizenship be?
Yeah, I mean, you could have that argument, but it doesn't matter to that point. But let me answer your question here. So, so when you're talking about a fetus being arrested, I mean, no matter the external environment, no matter where the woman is, whether she either chooses to be or doesn't choose to be, like if she's like imprisoned, the fetus is still in its natural habitat. It doesn't actually directly affect them.
Okay.
So
I don't
understand.
Effect argument, right? It has no effect on the fetus. Therefore, it doesn't
hold on.
really?
I'm not finished. So it's in their natural habitat and it doesn't actually affect them. But then I could, let's say that I pose another scenario. Let's say that, I mean, you could bring up conjoined twins, right? So you could bring up conjoined twins. Sure, you could bring up conjoined twins. Now, this is a huge debate, right? Because there's not a lot of stats out there currently of this happening, so we don't really have the data. So it's really just, it's really like a thought experiment.
It's interesting. How many people are conjoined twins? Would you say that's two separate people?
How many people?
Yeah.
Sure, two.
What makes them two distinct human beings?
What makes them two distinct human beings?
Yeah. Why are
I would say what makes you is consciousness.
So then why before consciousness does it matter? Wait, then the person doesn't exist.
I said this, dude. I know that you watched the Destiny debate because I saw
I actually didn't.
Well, I saw you commenting on the thing asking where you can watch it, and they told you where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I even said with him, I said, that's fine. Like, yeah, consciousness is what makes you you and what makes me me, right? But then you have to say, okay, if consciousness, like when we're talking about consciousness, do they currently have to have the capacity for consciousness? Obviously, we get into issues when we talk about general anesthesia. Then you talk about, oh, well, okay, well, then it has to be then the perspective capacity for consciousness, right? Of now or in the future, right? Which a zygote or fetus does have.
Therefore, you as you would not exist before you gained consciousness.
No, we're talking about where you should
disagree
get
with
the.
her.
No, hold on. We're
I
saying
was
where you
wondering- I'm
should
wondering
where
what
you
that
should
was
get the.
going.
No, we're talking about like when you should be given or why you should be given the moral right to life, right? Like moral
Yeah.
consideration. Okay, so if you're saying consciousness, like, is that your argument?
Well, that's your argument apparently.
Well, no, I said that's what makes like you.
And do you think you should
actually,
only be
I'm
given
gonna
right?
disagree with this because hold on. I'm just gonna say personal identity. It's kind of just a dumb question. I think what Tyler's trying to say is that what makes us like have experiences. But I think that when talking about moral consideration, we need to talk about like human substance, right?
Okay, fine,
Like,
fine, Sanvi. So I have a question
Yeah.
then. I'll ask Tyler the same question.
Yeah.
Are conjoined twins? Do you believe that's two people?
Yeah, sure.
I'm
I
asking
think by you
Sanvi.
even calling
Oh, my
them
bad.
twins,
Oh, my
you're
bad.
kind of already acknowledging
No.
it's two people.
So you agree that it's two people. So what makes it two distinct people?
Well, first, so are you familiar with like the cell division process? So essentially, what happens in like the process, like when twins are developed, is you have a zygote, and this zygote undergoes a process of overdevelopment where you have a split, right? So then
Not
essentially, what you
fully,
have
though.
is yeah. So you have like essentially two distinct nucleuses.
Yeah, it's
And
slightly
this-
different than like identical twins.
Yeah, so it'd be like two distinct things that have the ability to actualize. So yeah,
Okay, but
Yeah.
currently, right now, what would make them different though? Because they share a lot of the same. I mean, technically, they would share all the same DNA.
So they're two different persons on the molecular level and for consciousness.
like their human substance is two different.
I'm
like,
more so asking Oliver.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what did you say? Well, you're asking me? Oh, well,
So,
I'm
so
just
are they
cur-
two different? Some not say persons. I don't want to do that. So are they two different entities on like on like the cellular level?
Well, I mean, it depends how you define different entities, right? Because I say if they grow together, if they're constantly together, some of them share a heart, some of them share like, kidneys, some of them share that. The only thing that really would distinguish them would be because they share all the same DNA is that they have two separate brains. And that's what I would therefore say.
Okay, but here's the thing too. So this isn't even more so an abortion debate. This is kind of like we're talking about like something unconscious, but that's okay. So
Yeah.
like I enjoy this discussion. I think it's a really interesting topic. So so they have conjoined twins that share consciousness, right? So they have. I mean, are those two separate people?
What do you mean they share consciousness?
So they have conjoined twins that are conjoined like at the brain.
They have
to
two
where
separate brains.
Well, hold on, not exactly. No, so they actually share consciousness. They can actually like have the same dreams, have the same thoughts or feelings. Like this is a real thing. This is like research that I did when I was looking up conjoined twins. So yes, some conjoined twins do have this. Now you could do your own research like after this, just assuming that
I
I'm
haven't
right.
seen that.
If I'm wrong, then you still hold your position. Like I'm not going to clip you out of context.
Well,
right?
I can't make a judgment on that.
But if I am right, I'm giving you a hypothetical then. If I am right, why would they be two persons if they share consciousness?
Well, if they share consciousness, I'm not sure that I would say that they were two different persons.
So you would say that they're just one person.
Under the guise that they share consciousness and have the same identity, then sure.
So okay, so then they shouldn't have to take like two different like driving exams. They shouldn't be given the right
What do you mean
to
two different driving exams? If they're connected by the head, I don't think they can drive.
Why can't they drive?
Well, if they're connected at the head, like how are they connected at the head? Because there's certain people who have two separate heads, and I've seen that they're able to drive.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but conjoined twins can drive. Let's just say in this
Sure,
hypothetical they could. Let's say in this hypothetical they could.
Tyler, I don't know. I feel like this is so abstract. I don't know. I don't know how to
Well,
answer
that's my
this.
point. That's my point. So, like, if you're saying that consciousness is what makes two, like, I'm just kind of posing it to you. I'm even thinking about it myself, right? So, like, if they have, if they share consciousness, are you two separate people or are you one person?
I don't know, man. I'll have to look. I'll have to research that. I'll have to look at how the consciousness is defined, whether or not they like share the same. Because I think sharing consciousness and like having the exact same thoughts and dreams can be different. Are they? Do they have two separate personalities? Do they have different emotions? Can one of them be mad and the other one of them be happy? Can they have different hormone levels in each like
Would
part
that
of
would
their
that matter?
brains?
Would that matter to you?
Yeah, I think that's what because I think your brain is
If
what
they-
defines
okay,
who
so-
you are.
Okay, if they have like two different personalities, that would matter.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's say that you were like a split personality disorder.
then I actually do think that there are like two different persons that exist.
Okay, so like if like Amber, let's say that there's Amber and she commits a crime and then she reverts to her other personality of Justine, should we put her in prison?
Well, the only reason she should be incarcerated is because she was a threat to other people. I don't believe in justice for the sake of justice. I don't believe that she should be incarcerated because she did that. I think she should be incarcerated because she poses a threat to other people.
Wait, but you just said they're two distinct people. So why are you
they are two distinct people. Your original argument was that you posed it to Sanvi is that, well, if they're two distinct people, why can you throw them in prison? I just kind of gave you like another scenario.
Well, sure, but you also have to look at the threat that there is to other people.
Okay, so this mother is a threat to people. She's murdered motherfuckers.
Sure. And I never claimed that the fetus is a person. That was for the sake of argument. So if you assume that the fetus was a person, then
then what was the point? Then what was the point of you bringing this up then?
Wait. You do realize it was to test your logic, not mine, because I never asserted that the fetus was a person. And I don't believe that pregnant women should not go to prison.
Okay, so then do you concede that it's a stupid point?
Wait, no, the reason it matters is because if you believe that the fetus is a person and has all the same constitutional rights, then that should be the case. So yeah.
Wait, Oliver, I have a question. Do you think one person should be responsible for another person's actions that they had no control over?
Well, I mean, I also look at like free will and that concept a little bit differently. So I would say no, not necessarily.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, like if you go murder someone, would I be held morally reprehensible if I had nothing to do with it? Probably not, right?
If you had nothing to do with it, it depends.
If I had nothing to do with it, if I obviously coerced you to, there would be a difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So sure. So if you acknowledge people with split personality disorder as two different people, maybe more people.
Sanvi, I'm gonna acknowledge, like I said that because that's what I was thinking. I don't know enough about the psychology of two people with split personality disorders. Like, look, I'm not an expert in this. I don't know exactly like all of the distinct like differences in personalities, in brain chemistry.
I don't think you would have to.
I
think the only consistent position you would have to hold is what makes us us, right? And you're saying that would be consciousness. Yeah. I presume, right? So then we can like the consciousness is kind of just a state of being awakeness. Preferences are associated with consciousness.
Do you agree with that, Sanvi? Because I think you said that you disagreed.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think that's what personal identity means.
What do you think makes us us?
Human substance.
I don't even know what do you mean?
Like it's just like from the moment of it, like a zygote. I think something has like a substance to be like us. I think that substance actualizing is what gives it like moral consideration.
So like, do you think like if there was another species like falcons, do you think they should be given the same moral consideration as us?
I mean, yeah, that kind of gets into the reason why humans are rational animals and deserve rights versus animals. But then that's why I would say no.
So let's say it's actually really interesting. I've talked about it before. Let's say that you, Sanvi, your brain.
I don't exactly hold that position, by the way, Sanvi.
Okay, by the way, I'm addressing Sanvi specifically.
Yeah, I don't believe in animal rights. I don't know if you guys do.
You don't believe in animal rights. So let's say that I took. Okay, jeez. All right. I'll make sure not to put my dog around you. But if I take,
I have a dog too. I like my dog. No problem at all.
You don't believe in animal rights, and you have a dog? What do? Just beat that dog when you get mad? It's not wrong.
Hold on.
Nothing wrong.
That doesn't mean that she believes in just killing anything.
Yeah, that doesn't mean. I mean,
so then what? You don't believe in animal rights, and then what makes it wrong to
like
hurt an animal?
You should be able to go around killing animals without moral weapon, unless it's someone else's property. I see animals as property.
It's your property.
Yeah. Yeah,
so should you be able to kill your own dog out of your own private property?
I mean, yeah, I don't think it should be illegal if it's your own property. Yeah,
I agree.
I have my dog.
I want to be clear. I don't want to. I would not advocate for anyone killing their dog. Right? I do not like that shit at all.
No one should be punished for animal abuse for abusing their own dog. If they buy a dog and they fucking beat the hell out of the dog.
I hope.
If we say, hold on. If we say it's property, if we say that dog is property, then okay. But then if you're saying okay, well then we can have a discussion. Should this dog be property or should this animal be considered property? Then we can have another discussion. But as long as they are considered property, then sure.
All right.
Legally speaking, fine. Does not make it morally right.
Oliver,
I would not advocate for it.
I know you eat meat. What's the distinction?
Wait, correct. Wait, yes, of course. I acknowledge. I believe 100% in vegan ethics. Do I follow them? No, because I'm an inconsistent motherfucker. Like I don't.
So you believe in killing animals?
Wait,
Oliver.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's morally right.
No, but you believe it legally. We should be able to kill animals.
On an ideal level, no. On a moral level, I think vegan ethics makes sense. Veganism is the one issue that I 100%. Should I go to prison? Wait, Tyler, I already told
Send them off.
Tyler.
Yeah,
Tyler, I already told you that I have this. Like, I agree that it's morally wrong, but I just don't care.
No, but I'm talking about legally. So
What
hold
in
on.
the
So hold on.
performative
So
contradiction?
legally
Wait,
speaking, hold on, Oliver, please answer my question. Legally speaking, should we be able to kill animals?
Sure, in our current society, I think it would be great if we get to a society.
Okay,
where
so
we
why
could.
are you trying to demonize us just because we say it should be legal to kill a dog?
Are you going to eat that dog?
Maybe.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I
Because,
don't think it actually
do you think
matters,
it's
but
different?
maybe.
Do you think? Well, I think it is. Do you think it's different to kill for sport versus killing to eat?
If you're saying
Wait.
morally, sure, but we're talking about legality, like if it should
All
be
right,
legal
fine.
or illegal.
I never got to my thing I wanted to ask Sanvi. I never even got to that because Sanvi said she believed like a human substance. So let's say that I took Sanvi's brain and put it in a dog. Should I treat you like a dog or a human?
Yeah, this is some sort of like mind-body dichotomy.
Yeah.
So we would kind of have to get into that. But I would say if you put my brain in a dog, right, then I would say I would be of the human substance in a different form, assuming that by putting my brain
It's
in,
the brain
like my
that
cell
defines human
development.
substance.
Hold
right?
on. Assuming that when you put me in the dog's body, I would be able to, have the same cellular functions that I do now with the brain being there.
Sure,
yes.
you could understand me. You could understand everything I'm saying, but you would be in a dog's body. So then why though?
Yeah.
Because
If I had
still,
the same like molecular functionality I do now as a human,
your
as a part of the
consciousness
human
would just
substance, yeah.
exist. You would have dog
Well, I
arms.
mean,
You would still
Oliver,
not be able to
nothing-
talk.
no-
You wouldn't be able to
Nothing would
talk.
really be different. People are mute, right? There's mute people who don't talk. People are
For
immobile in a
you.
disabled chair. Like,
Wait, of course, but as you would say, that's not they're not actualizing their natural capacity, right?
well, no, you would be hindering my natural capacity. That would be the thing. You would be
Wait,
placing me in the
agree.
environment.
Wait, fine. So then you're bringing up other examples for.
Wait, no,
that.
it's like Oliver. You're saying if you stunt me with like growth hormones, yeah, I'd say you'd be limiting
fine.
my natural capacity to
Fine.
reach.
So
However,
should I treat you as a dog or should I treat you as a human if your brain isn't a dog?
well, like I said, if I am a part of the human substance by having those molecular things, I would say you should treat me like a
It's
human
your
and grant
human
me
brain.
the same rights and not be able to kill me. Yes.
So then it's the brain that defines what makes a human valuable.
I just said if the brain was implemented with the cellular things, that would have to exist because a brain.
implemented. Wait, but
Yeah,
that's
like
the
if
whole.
I said if I still had the same cellular functions in my body.
Well, you wouldn't because you're a dog, but you're just able to think with a human brain. It's a thought experiment. It doesn't. That's the point of it. That it just is supposed to exist in that sort of realm.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. In order for like the brain to be there, right, there would have to be some sort of like molecular connection between my body and the brain. Like my brain would be able to control like my paws.
Yes,
or
your
something,
paws,
right?
your legs. Sure, yeah, all that.
Exactly.
So I
yes.
should
So
still
that's
be
what
able to.
So yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I'm saying. Because if you took a pint of blood from me, for example, and you examined that, right, it would be the same as I was when I was a human. I would be
No,
of the
it
human
would be dog
substance.
blood.
Wait, then how does that even work? Because then my brain wouldn't function in there.
Who says that? This is such a weird.
Well, you just said
hypothetical in
it
the
did
first place.
function if it controlled my body.
Wait,
my
the
body.
whole
then it
point.
would
The whole
function.
point of this is for it to be a thought experiment of the mind-body dichotomy. You don't have to necessarily 100% say that it would like be the exact same
I know,
blood.
and that's what I'm saying. If I was not of the human substance, like if it was dog blood, then I would say no. But then I'm
No.
saying like if it were to be, then I would say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
All right. Well, I don't know. My data. I've probably used up all my data for this month, but it's cool. Maybe my internet came back on. I have no idea. Maybe I don't know. This was interesting. I don't really know if we got a whole lot of places, but hey, something for sure.
Very interesting thought experiments. You did bring up one that I thought that was interesting, which was the I forgot which one it was, but I actually acknowledged. I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought experiment. So I appreciate that. I always like testing my own logical consistency and challenging myself, so I always appreciate it. Some of these get boring and monotonous. But hey, look, I don't think that we change each other's minds today.
No.
But I think that at least on certain points that you would say that some things that you at least agreed with when you talk about potentiality and some other things. So I think that we did do something, maybe not
I think
much.
this was more of a conversation, less of a debate, which I appreciate. You know what I mean? Like I was never looking to really I don't have any desire here to like, I'm probably not even gonna post like clips because I just don't feel like I could totally post the clip of Tyler saying, "Oh, it's consciousness," which is what defines that. Which and then Sanvi's reaction, Sanvi's reaction was hilarious,
bro.
No,
I've said that. Hold on.
I know.
Let's kill this right now.
I know. I'm not gonna do it.
Consciousness. No, you do whatever you want. So consciousness. To say that consciousness isn't what makes you, like what. Sanvi didn't even really explain that like rationally to me. Doesn't make rational sense. So consciousness is what makes you, and Oliver agrees with me, right?
I agree with that. But then the question comes down to
hold on.
Even before conception.
So wait. Hold on. So if you're saying consciousness is what makes you, and we're going to go the whole consciousness route, right? So this is just going to get right into the destiny debate, right? So where we say, okay, if consciousness is where we give someone the moral consideration for life, then we have to determine if they currently have to be experiencing consciousness or not. And I think that you would say, well, no, they don't currently have to be experiencing it, because obviously there are scenarios where we can put you in where you're not experiencing consciousness, but we should still not have the legal right to kill you, right? So then we say, okay, well then the perspective capacity for consciousness of now or in the future, right? A fetus, a zygote of now or in the future, it will have consciousness in all likelihood, right? So it's not contradictory to anything that I've said. I think that you just didn't understand my position.
Wait, I agree with Tyler. I want to address his points for a second. He said something. My issue with that argument is in the future, even before conception occurs in the future.
We've already talked about sperm and egg. We've already talked about that three times.
We have
talked about that like 3 times.
But I don't think you've addressed why to you. Sanvi has with her whole capacity argument, but I think if you were to take Sanvi's argument, you would have to also agree that then the consciousness doesn't matter whatsoever at all when it comes to defining what a human is.
Well, my problem with saying consciousness is what makes us. Like, if we're saying consciousness is just the state of being awake, so when we're asleep, are we not ourselves? Like, that's kind of the problem.
That's not what it is.
He was talking about perspective capacity or something for consciousness.
You have the capacity to become yourself, and that's why we value you, right? But in that moment, you're not yourself. I would still say we should value a sleeping person because of that potential. But in that moment, you're not yourself.
So then you agree with me.
I have trouble accepting.
Wait, can I just address a comment here? You guys are kind of infighting.
Oh, wait, should I pin it?
Yeah, it just says Oliver lost credibility when he admitted he's logically inconsistent. I was solely talking about the issue of veganism in particular. Is an issue that when I look at the issue of veganism, I can't come up with a reason on why we should not value other sentient beings. Frankly, I do think it would be unethical to kill animals for the sole purpose of eating them if we can avoid it. Now, I do think that it becomes an issue if we talk about specifically when it comes to veganism, everyone needs to be vegan. Okay, well, you don't realize that there are a lot of barriers to people becoming vegan, whether that be socioeconomic reasons, whether that be people having access to that. So I think that's something that needs to be looked into. But I wouldn't say when he said admitted he's logically inconsistent. I mean, I think if I eat meat and I know it's wrong, it would kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I mean.
Oliver,
I feel like that's just performatism at that point.
If you want to bounce, it's all good. You've been on here for 2.5 hours, and you've actually been here for an hour more than you said you were going to be. If you want to stay on, that's cool. I'm not trying to kick you off, but I'm totally gonna fucking go into this shit with Sanvi right now. So, so do you want to bounce?
I'm probably gonna bounce, man. I will say, it was good talking to you. I'm glad we were able to keep the personal insults to a minimum. Although I did hear maybe you were shit talking me when my internet cut out. But
I told you I was shit talking you. Yeah, I was memeing you. I told you I was shit talking.
That's fair. You're probably memeing me. All right. Well, it was all right, man. It was good talking with you guys. I hope you all have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, you too, man.
Take care.